what we do here is go back.
Hello there, everyone. You saw the pig intro. You know what time it is? It's happy hour time. I was going to introduce me and Christy as the two other presidential assassins, but I forgot to look it up. So look forward to that next time. I'm Kevin Logan. Joining me as ever, it's insert name of presidential assassin here, Dr. Christy Winters.
Hey, Kev.
Hello.
Oi, oi.
We've got another friend, though, haven't we?
Yeah, we got a third person in the show today.
Yeah. Joining us, as occasionally, it's a lawyer, but don't hold that against him. It's Marcus Drake.
Oh, hello. Don't worry, most people hold it against me. That's fair. I made this choice.
If I said you had a beautiful body, would you hold it against me?
Thank you, Brittany. We were all thinking it. It had to be done.
Body, would you hold it against me?
I do like a song where the meaning is like it's got two meanings to it. Or there's like a subtlety to it, like, you're so vain, you probably think this song is about you. Genius.
Like Love Shack?
Love Shack? What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? No, hang on. No, we need to go into what are you talking about?
Love Shack, isn't that also a euphemism for any place you can slide something into?
I thought it was just fuck house.
Yeah, I just thought fuck house.
Alright, well, I guess I'm just more creative in my interpretation.
Love Shack is a little old place where we can get together.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how roomy you are, Christy, but I don't know that people can get together there.
People, like, well, I don't know, like, how many people you want to get in your Love Shack? I guess that's a real question.
Oh, well, what's your maximum capacity?
I have no idea. I've never tried. I've never tested it.
Well, you are vanilla as fuck.
You would have to ask the fire marshal. You know, you have to make sure it's a safe capacity.
Exactly. Is there adequate fire escape?
Yeah.
Is
the fire doors? Is there a fire blanket?
Is it well ventilated?
I do have a little little wooden stair thing that normally is meant for dropping out of tree houses that I have in case there's a fire in my house.
I've always wondered about, you know, those buildings, and it mainly seems to be in TV shows, but I don't know if they exist. Those fire escapes you get in like New York apartments, they're like black. Are those real, or are those just on the TV? Because they seem like that would create a very easy way for someone to break into your fucking house.
Well, you have to like jump up and like pull down the ladder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I don't think that's beyond the wit of man to bring like a ladder or something. Maybe.
You probably would have to bring the ladder, but I imagine, they're like a floor off the ground. At which point, if you've got a ladder that goes up a floor, you would just break in on the second floor anyway, or the first floor if you happen to be European.
Well, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I just think that it would be easy if people just burned to death.
So, Marcus, I have a question for you. Moving right along.
You don't want to get into Kev's opinion on the triangle worship?
Oh, the triangle factory fire.
Factory?
Yeah, something that helped galvanize the labor movement in the early part of the 20th century.
Look, I'm just saying. No, I'm not saying it. Anyway.
Labor accelerationism. A couple good fires and you get some unions. All right?
Well, I look at it this way. It took for the end of serfdom in much of Europe came about because of the Black Death. So was it all bad?
Why does it have to be black?
Well, because of the buboes. Black
Oh, man.
growths in the armpit.
normally black?
Well, they were with the Black Death, apparently. Yeah, that's why it was called that. Yeah, it was.
Oh, I saw something rather shocking that got left out. As the older I get, the more I realize things that should have been in my history books. But there was a thing on the last formally owned slaves in Europe were the Roma of Moldavia and Wallachia.
Wallachia.
Moldavia. Yeah, Moldavia and Wallachia. So it basically what is now Eastern Romania / Moldova.
Yeah, and southwestern Ukraine. About 40,000 in total. They were briefly emancipated, during the 1848 revolution, but this was reversed by occupying Russian and Ottoman forces. Final emancipation didn't come until 1855-56, with financial compensation for whom?
Slave owners.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, the owners.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know why the notifications are off. That shouldn't have happened.
I got my notification that we were going live.
No, the
So I know you're not
sound.
asleep.
Oh, there we go. It's now working. Thank you. Apologies, just slightly delayed. No, the noise ones, Christy, the ones that only I can hear.
Oh, right.
Where I just stop
special noises that
talking
happen in
and
your
you
mind.
think that I'm not speaking anymore, but it's because I'm being interrupted by someone saying cock.
Okay, they are giving you money to say cock, though.
Well, I think this is my favourite thing ever, right?
Yeah.
Today, someone very generously gave me money. And on like PayPal, you get you can write a little message to the person you're sending money to.
Huh?
And so I put in this person put in a little message, and it was, I won't say the exact amount because I don't want to necessarily embarrass the person, and I won't reveal their name. But let's just say X amount of money. X amount of money, GBP, Great British Pounds, lol, get wrecked by the currency of the 20 of the 27 European nations. And I just thought, am I being currency shamed? What is this?
You well should be.
I mean, just because I'm part of a country, just because I'm a citizen of a country that voted to become third world, and all of a sudden the Euros think they can fucking dunk on me.
Yeah.
They're correct.
Don't you-
Yeah.
I was saying, don't you have you're eligible for Irish citizenship? You could leave at
I am.
any time.
Well, I'm not just eligible. I am an Irish citizen.
What?
And,
Oh, you have it already.
Yeah. Well, my dad. I mean, this is literally true, and this I think my dad made me promise me and my two brothers. I have two. I'm the middle of three. That if there were ever a war, because Ireland will always be neutral because they basically don't have an army. They're not going to do a war. So if there's ever a war, we go and stay with my aunt in Ireland. He said, if there's going to be cannon fodder, it's not going to be my lads. And he made us fucking swear. He made us promise upon ourselves that we would give him our word that we'd do it. And we did. And I will. Trust me, I'm not getting slaughtered in fucking
For the crown.
Flanders field. Fuck off. I'm going to be
To be fair, I
I'm going to
think
be
you
growing
could take some
potatoes. Yeah. That's not a
I
joke,
don't
by the way.
think-
She actually literally runs a farm. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I think you'd be safe from a draft, though. So
At your
Not
age
for me.
now.
yeah.
I'm not that fucking old.
How old are you? They tend to want 18-year-olds who will
Yeah.
follow orders.
Under 35s.
True, well, I'm 36.
Lord Freetez
Ooh.
donated
There you go. Too old.
$3. I
Positively
like to pay you to
decrepit.
say despunkify. It is very amusing.
God.
Also, you should ask Marcus for
Feel
the
better,
picture of
Kevin.
his diploma. I can
Okay.
assure you, you'll be
I can
jealous.
say that. I'm still technically in my 20s.
Okay,
29.
technically.
Tick,
Technically.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick
Anyway,
tock.
anyway, right?
Morinata
hang on,
donated
sorry, more.
$125.28.
What?
Everyone give Kev more money.
That is unbelievably generous, Marinaka. I appreciate that enormously. Honestly, I'll suck other people's dicks for you. That's, yeah, anyway. Sorry. Lord Fruitus wanted me to say despunkify. So thank you, and I'll say that. Also, he said, ask Marcus if you can see his diploma.
See, no, that's okay. That's because Lord Fruitus has seen my dick, and I laid it over my diploma for him at one point.
Wow.
That's what that's supposed to be.
Hang
so,
on. Whoa, hang on.
Wow,
Time
that's...
out.
What?
You sent it, hang on. He's seen your penis, yes?
Yes.
Right, okay. Firstly, we need the backstory on that. What?
Oh, it's because the way I sound and the fact that I'm a lawyer, people point out that I don't seem black. and my point
What?
was at least some parts of me are black. My way of showing that was sending people a picture of my penis.
Firstly, I didn't know you were black either. Secondly, and I'm not just saying that because I want you to send me a picture of your big cock. That's not no.
That's definitely not what's happening here.
No.
Marcus.
You're
not at all being cock baited.
No, it's not. It's not bait at all. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know if you can hear that reeling noise. That's not me with a fishing rod at all. I don't know what you're talking about. No. But I genuinely didn't know you were black. Not that it matters because we're colorblind here on the channel. We've been through this. We've been through this. Okay. We don't see colour. We're better than that. Thank you. Okay, so he wanted proof that you were black. Firstly, Lord Fruitus, that's weird. We'll need to talk. See me after class. Secondly, you decided a picture of your cock was the best way of doing that.
Well, yes, because it simultaneously would show black skin, and because there's a stereotype about black men and a certain appendage. So I wanted to make a dual-pronged point with my prong.
True. Also, that is the one stereotype that I don't see black people fighting very hard against.
No.
Not a lot of black guys going out there going, actually, some of us have below average penis length. Like, doesn't quite have the same civil rights kind of vibe to it, does it? Really?
Would you fight that stereotype?
No, but I've got a tiny cock, so it doesn't really matter to me. It's fine.
Well, I don't, actually. I have no preconceived notions about the Irishman's penis, so...
Exactly. We get women into bed through laughter and then disappoint them enormously through effort and lack of size. So, line up, ladies. So, what's that got to do with your fucking diploma?
Oh, because I laid my dick on my diploma, so I could send my diploma, but my dick covered my name on my diploma. So.
You redacted your name on your diploma with your penis. To a Frenchman.
Yes.
What a sentence. Good Lord.
I will say, you phrase it like that, it makes it sound like a crime occurred.
I don't know that technically it did, but also I don't know that technically it didn't. I don't know. It depends on the jurisdiction, I would imagine. The jurisdiction? Hey! Oh, anyway. So, I mean, honestly... Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah. So that's what he was trying to bait you into.
Well, I'm glad we went down that path. I'm glad that happened, because that's... God damn. Talking of dick...
Now you're thinking about dick on a diploma.
Yes.
I will tell you, that diploma, is kind of, the construction papery. That cuts into you something fierce. I wouldn't recommend it.
Oh, you don't want a paper cut on your bits. No.
Yeah.
No, that's... Oof. Ouch. What is this? New Zealand deck ads. Oh, well, okay. I think we know what this is going to be. I think he's deed. He did what? Dude. No, he's deed.
He's dude. He's deed. He's like Brit. Like Britney? Like Britney Spears? No, Brit.
If you're like me, you find it very hard to keep your dick dry. I left my dick unprotected and it was warped out of shape in no time. I could barely recognise my own dick. Imagine that. Then I discovered Schaefer's New Zealand style dick sealant. The best way to take care of your dick in 3 easy steps. First, wash your dick with soap and water. Then, wait for your dick to dry. Once your dick is clean and dry, paint your dick with Schaefer's dick sealant. I used to be too embarrassed to invite people over to see my dick. But now, my dick's the talk of the town. I even have pictures of my dick. Check out that dick. I send this to my secretary. Barbara always loves to receive my dick pics. After all, summertime is all about spending time on your dick. I often have 20 to 30 people on my dick at once. That can really wear your dick out, causing dick splinters and discoloration. But with Schaefer's dick sealant, my dick stays a nice golden brown colour. Who wouldn't want a golden dick? I used to never let children anywhere near my dick. My dick was too dangerous for cods to play on. But it seems like every cod in the neighbourhood's been on.
Cod! The cod in the neighbourhood!
You okay, Kevin? Oh my
Jeez.
god, you're dying.
I wasn't expecting the cod!
My dick this summer, and they've all had a good time. My dick's over 70 years old, but it looks brand new. That's part of the reason all my neighbours are jealous of my dick. Wasn't that right, Jim?
Yes, you've got a nice dick, okay?
His wife is always on my dick, begging me to know the secret of my perfect dick. If you like Schaefer's dick sealant, check out Schaefer's New Zealand style cock. I had a huge hole in my dick, but I fixed it by jamming some cock in it. You'd be surprised how many things you can fix by jamming cock into them. Have an extra large hole in your dick? Try Schaefer's African style cock.
Oh no!
And ask for the big black cock. Schaefer's New Zealand style dick sealant. Don't put it on your penis.
True. Don't put it on your penis. Ah. Talking of golden brown, Donald Trump.
Oof.
Because of
Okay,
his
but
bronze
that
face.
transition means now I'm thinking about his dick.
Oh, please don't. We had to listen about his dick all week.
True. That is true. So, yeah, he's been in court and that.
Well, I have a question for you, Marcus, before we start.
Oh, God.
Sure.
All right, you're asked to buddy up for a school project. Whom do you choose and why? Annie, Abed, Troy, Britta, or Jeff?
Abed. And
Okay.
just because I like the name.
What the
Well,
fuck?
I was-
What the fuck was this, Christy? This better have a good punchline, I swear to God.
No, it just came up in my YouTube feed as I was flipping through, and I was like, "Oh, that's an interesting question." I picked Troy.
What the
He's
fuck are
very
you
funny.
talking about? Who the fuck are these people?
You've not seen Community.
Yeah, but I don't remember the fucking character names.
Shame.
Gay.
Shame, eternal shame.
Okay. Anyway.
I forgot that was a character in Community. All right.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Well, first of all,
Double chomp.
Jesus Christ.
Steve Bannon. Think he's gonna go to prison this time? These
Seems
appeals-
like it.
Yeah, it's about fucking time.
I mean,
tell us all
the
about
irony of
Steve.
it-
Tell us
Hmm?
all about Steve Bannon. What's he been up to? The scamp.
Dodging
So-
prison.
he has been dodging prison. The irony is, so you guys are aware of the concept of double jeopardy. Can't be placed in danger of life or limb twice.
Yes.
In the
Also,
US, there's
it's around in a TV show.
it is.
Yeah.
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 So.
It is. In the US, there's something called the coordinate jurisdiction rule. So, like, the same government can't put you in danger of life or limb twice, but since the states are their own sovereign powers,
Okay.
they
yeah.
have the right to charge you for things you did in
Multiple
their
times.
jurisdiction.
Mhm.
If they choose to. Some states have it like in their law that if the federal government prosecutes you, they can't. New York got rid of that. They did have it. They got rid of it, especially for Trump, it seems. And so I believe Bannon is actually being charged for the build the wall thing again that he got pardoned for before, but he's just now being charged in state court.
Oh, I thought it was he was appealing his contempt of court.
He is-
contempt of Congress.
He is
Oh,
also
okay.
appealing his attempt of well, yeah, that's true. So he's appealing the contempt of Congress. The other build the wall thing, I don't think has gone to trial yet. So
Oh,
he's in
yeah,
danger of
yeah.
going to prison twice over, actually.
So you can be convicted of a federal crime and a state crime as long as they're two different jurisdictions or two state crimes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So even for the same act
Mhm.
or offense.
Yeah.
But you know, it's at least with the contempt of Congress thing, it's a obscene amount of judicial resources for what did he get? Like 30 days?
I
Like-
think 4 months for the contempt
Okay.
of Congress. Yeah, it's the same
Yeah.
one that same sentence Peter Navarro got and is currently serving.
Yeah.
Now I'm not super smart. I literally just read this an hour before we came on air, so it's fresh in my mind. I'm not that intelligent. So
No. Yeah, it's just not a lot of time. Granted, I wouldn't want to spend any time in the American penal
Yeah.
system, but as long as you could stand in there, wouldn't be that bad.
yeah, I mean, I'm just happy to see him behind bars myself. So that makes me happy.
Oh,
And yeah, so let's get since we initially were going to talk about the Supreme Court, but like so many other things have also happened. I'm interested in getting some of your takes on the Trump trial, if you have it.
Well, so that's the thing. I can speak a little bit to Trump's contempt violations. My understanding is there's no audiovisual recording inside the court. I don't know why.
Yeah. New York
like
won't
I
allow
don't.
it.
Yeah, just sort of like what decision they're using to base that off of. I kind of get it. It's probably the only time I've ever had an opinion borderline immediately changed by a Republican politician. During the time that Democrats were considering court reform, one proposal was to put cameras in federal courtrooms, including the Supreme Court. That way, we would stop having like those random doodles that come out.
Oh,
to
the
promote
artwork
transparency. Yeah. And then there was a congressman whose name I can't remember who said, think about how much grandstanding happens on the floor of the House so that it can be cut into campaign ads. Do you want judges acting like congressmen? And it reminded me of the judge in Larry Nassar's case did a lot of that. She actually got appealed because she threatened to sentence him to be sexually assaulted.
Oh, God.
Which you can't do. That's not a thing.
That would seem like a cruel and unusual punishment, yes.
Yes. So in hindsight, I was like, okay, maybe there actually is a point where it's better to not have cameras in courtrooms in high-profile cases.
Yeah. Although I have to say, I do appreciate, well, I mean, of course I'm a nerd and stuff, but I have gone and watched recorded trials. The audio is terrible. I'm going to say that, like just because you get a camera and a recording device in a courtroom does not guarantee quality. Let me assure you.
That's true.
It is, it can be really super boring to watch a trial proceeding in some parts of it, but it is interesting to see how each side lays out their perspective, the questions that they ask, the order of the witnesses and whatnot. So I think probably you're right, not in high profile cases, but there is some benefit to being able to see what a court procedure looks like without having to serve on a jury. To be a member of the public who, not just, if you can't because you have to work, you can still see the process in open court.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not a thing people tend to take advantage of a whole lot. It's why initially my thought process was I'm for cameras in courtrooms, because normally, if you go into a courtroom, the gallery will be full of the family members of defendants and victims, and then like friends of the lawyer who are probably also lawyers, right?
Yeah.
Like I'll go watch coworkers of mine like do their first jury trial or do their first murder trial or something like that.
Yeah.
Members of the public don't tend to show up, even though like you can literally just wander into a courtroom and be like, hey, does anyone have like a trial going on? Does anyone have a jury happening? And you can just watch.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is you're right, boring.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you don't know the ins and outs of the case, and you just kind of wander into someone giving testimony, it cannot be not very exciting. So,
yeah. So at least with Trump, I haven't kept up too much with the testimony. I've seen bits and pieces just through news and all that.
You are our expert. I expect you to trawl through forensically every second of that trial for us.
Absolutely not.
We are paying you no amount of money to do this. This is outrageous.
Yeah.
Well, fortunately, you can't pay me anyway. So,
why can't...
it's part of my contract.
Foreigner.
I'm not allowed. No, I'm just not allowed to do paid legal work outside my office.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I work for the government.
Okay, you can't freelance.
Oh, you're a communist. Okay, cool.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
But yes, so it does seem pretty likely that he might actually get convicted of some of these, but far more, at least interesting to me, was the 10 findings of contempt.
Okay.
So the way the New York statute works, so contempt in theory is an inherent power of the courts. It's just part of their ability to keep order, right? And to vindicate the respect and authority of the court. But New York has a statute specifically for contempt, and most states do. The New York statute only provides 2 punishments for a finding of contempt: $1,000 fine or up to 30 days in jail. So the judge doesn't really have the option of crafting a fine for Trump that would be commensurate with the resources he actually has at his disposal. So he's been held in contempt, I think, 10 times so far. There might be more hearings scheduled. And he's just been hit with $1,000 for each one. Normally, you try and slowly escalate before you put someone in prison.
And that's what happens when in his federal cases, right? He was fined increasing amounts from his federal trials. Yeah.
And they try and stick to like what happens in front of their court, right? So they don't start at a higher fine, even though Trump has been held in contempt in other cases, right? Like, you know, if he was held in contempt in D.C., the New York judge, even if it's a federal judge, wouldn't be like, well, because of that, I'm going to start you out at, you know, more than I would otherwise give. They tend to limit it to what's in front of them.
Mm-hmm. You get a do-over, basically.
Yeah. They just don't want to step on each other's toes. There's a sense of, like, I don't know, professional courtesy for other judges to not dip your feet in their courtroom.
So is that your legal advice then, that you should only really commit your crimes in all of the various states rather than locally in one?
I mean, that would be an advantage. On the other hand, you would have to expend a lot of resources hiring a lawyer for each jurisdiction and traveling. So it's more a cost-benefit analysis, really.
Well, I'm a tiny streamer, so I've got all the money in the world. It's all good.
It's fair.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go.
And that was what
50
happened with
50 state crime spree. Let's go.
I mean, I guess depending on the crime, you could probably get away with it. You know, you can't do a murder, but you know, some retail theft in every state, you could probably get away with that.
Bit of manslaughter, maybe.
No.
What?
Manslaughter will probably get someone to pay
find
attention.
You. Yeah.
Okay. Wire fraud.
I know wire fraud you might be able to get away with, although that's probably going to be federal.
Oh, fuck's sake! You people,
that's
your
a federal
fancy
crime
rules.
because it's interstate. Yeah.
Okay. No, but I meant fraud as in I'm selling metal wire fraudulently.
How? Are you selling substandard copper?
Yes.
Ooh, no, I know what you could do. You can sell copies of Tesla's trademark items, because apparently they're going after like a 14-year-old in Britain who did sold a Tesla thing.
Yeah.
Or put Tesla's thing on a hoodie after Elon Musk published on Twitter, yeah, if you steal our logo, we probably won't sue you.
Oh wow, okay.
And then he did, and then the company sued him.
What fucking
Yeah,
hell.
you really have to sue. You can't not sue if someone infringes on a trademark, because if you don't sue, it can be seen as abandonment of the trademark, and you can lose control of it.
Well,
Yeah, but
unless
it's a
you're a Christian
14-year-old.
organization, they never get sued for their blatant theft of trademarks.
Yeah.
Unless you're who?
Christian churches will oftentimes take trademarks and like say, you know, like got Jesus in the sort of font and style of got milk.
Oh yeah.
But
I mean,
they
I guess
won't get sued by the Milk Council because the Milk Council doesn't want to go after Christian churches, and so they just get away with it. There's a whole documentary about how like Christian churches steal shit when it comes to intellectual property.
No,
Oh,
right.
yeah, they
So
steal everything.
Here's a question for you.
All
Right, you go first. You go first.
I'm selling DVD copies of The Wire, the TV show, fraudulently.
Jesus Christ.
Thank you.
Like, commit piracy or something.
I do want a pirate. I do want to be a pirate.
I mean, that's so
That'd be good.
2010 though. I mean, people don't have to pirate shit anymore. You can just find it online now.
I'm the captain now.
I mean, finding it online is what I call piracy, so.
True.
Or
Look, I was raised on the Pirate Bay. Don't even fucking start.
yeah, right.
Let's go.
So, contempt of court is a Class E felony?
In New York, I believe so.
Not that
So-
classy.
When he's been now basically found guilty of multiple felonies, doesn't that violate his bail conditions in all his other cases?
Almost certainly.
Correct.
You have to, not pick up new charges or new convictions while you're out on bail. The question is just sort of what will the courts do about it? So yeah, they may be technically felonies. but the other courts are going to understand. I mean, it is a contempt finding, right? That's not the most egregious thing ever, especially since he just paid a fine for it. It's not like he even went to prison. And he got found in contempt sort of all at once. So you can't say like, oh, this is an ongoing pattern. He's refusing to conform his behavior despite several warnings, right? So it seems like the more likely outcome is that
Nothing.
the other courts might, raise his bond. They might, yell at him a little bit. But unless, and I don't think he's, broken bond conditions in any of his other trials, but unless he violates again, they're probably not gonna, skip straight to imprisoning him.
Too bad. But all right. Yeah, and actually I think he's managed to not violate the gag order since he was threatened with jail. And he's actually there was one post that he put up when he learned that Stormy Daniels was going to be the witness. And he kind of like had a couple lines in there. Didn't mention her, but was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe who's going to be on the stand today, and this judge is conflicted, blah blah blah." But it was taken down within 30 minutes. So
yes, I imagine whoever his attorney is has like a paralegal just watching all of his social media, and he got a very quick and angry phone call.
Take that the fuck down before I get sent to prison. Embarrassing. Yeah. What's your take on the trial? How do you feel like it's going? Obviously, it's all through media reports, but
it's all through media reports. I mean, it seems reasonable. The consensus generally that I happen to agree with is that of all his different trials, this is probably the weakest one. But it's not like it's a weak case overall. It does seem like he, actually violated the law here. The question is also whether or not he would serve time for this, right? If he gets convicted. He's only, so this would be presumably the first one that would return a conviction if he is convicted. So he would have no prior offenses beyond this.
Right.
This is the lowest class of felony you can get in New York. Again, I think it's a Class E felony. And so the chances that he sees prison time, not great. And even if he does see prison time, it probably wouldn't be that long. Of course, there's also something to be said for the fact that this is a non-violent crime, read white collar, because they tend to be lighter on white collar crimes.
Which is kind of bullshit, isn't it? You think about how much money people steal in a regular just armed robbery versus what you steal in white collar crime. And yet white collar crime rarely gets that kind of similar sentence.
You say it's non-violent, but me having to hear his description or having to hear the description of "you sound like my daughter" and then him fucking the person he said reminded him of his daughter, that felt to me like that was violence against me personally.
I mean, I
felt assaulted.
I wouldn't say you shouldn't pursue a claim for emotional damage. I certainly felt damaged afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, the ick factor was very high.
But unfortunately, the statutes on ick are very loosely worded. I'm not happy with it at all.
Yeah.
Why do you still have Steve Bannon up on the screen, Kevin?
I don't.
Oh, no, you don't. Oh, it's changed. Okay. All right.
How far back are you? That was about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, I guess pretty far back. I must have accidentally hit the pause button.
See, she doesn't even watch when she's on.
Why would she?
How could I? How could I watch and be on? I can't.
Well, yes, indeed.
All right,
show, motherfucker. Why would I watch something else?
I was actually, to be honest, you'd say that it's one of the weaker cases, and I guess compared to handling classified documents, or basically potentially selling national secrets, it doesn't rate that highly, but it does. What I've learned from this case is that he basically stole the 2016 election. He really did. I mean, if he had the stories had come out and people had known what the truth about him, it might have been enough to swing 10,000 votes across 3 states.
It might have. I'm not particularly bullish on that idea, just because people also thought the Access Hollywood tape was going to sink him. Technically,
Well-
any bad story could have swung such a narrow margin.
Also,
but
there's
he-
the broader point of like, all candidates do stuff that they try and hide things they don't want to be made public. Now, of course, he did so in an illegal way, but the crime is the hush money stuff, not the trying to keep secrets about yourself quiet.
It was the campaign finance.
Like,
basically,
Hillary Clinton
fraud.
wants to cover up the fact that she eats baby brains. Does that mean she
Not
tried
just
to steal the
brains.
election as well? I don't know.
all right, she treats the baby with respect. She uses every part of it. All right, she doesn't just eat the brain and throw it away.
Fair. Yeah, no, that's true. That's fair. Good question from chat. Marcus, if you were Trump's lawyer, what defense would you use?
Probably one not too dissimilar from what they're actually pursuing, right? You have evidence of the payments. You know who they went to. You know how they went through Michael Cohen. You really can't contest that unless you're going to claim, his signature was forged or something like that, which no one's going to believe you. A jury's going to roll their eyes at you and convict you anyway. The best you can do is sort of say, well, he didn't have the intent for this to be a campaign issue. It was that, he's got a history, a very well publicized history of affairs in the past. He's on his third wife. Maybe you would say, his wife was less tolerant of his affairs than his previous one was. But he couldn't stop. He continued to have affairs. And so he paid the money so that his wife wouldn't find out. Now, it was incidental to his campaign because the only reason people were scrutinizing him was because he was running for president. But if his principal aim was, look, while I'm in the spotlight, I don't want my wife to find out about this other affair I have, you might have something there. My understanding is their argument also is essentially that Trump essentially was multitasking with a whole bunch of stuff. And so the checks came across his desk and he signed them sort of without thinking what they were for or how it was actually playing out behind the scenes. Sort of, he'd ordered a whole bunch of different things. He's got a whole bunch of different expenses for his business. And every once in a while, he's brought in a stack of checks to pay for all the stuff he's ordered. He doesn't know which check is going to which expense. It's just, he trusts Alan Weisselberg and Michael Cohen to do that kind of stuff. He just puts his name on it once he's given the order.
True. You know what? You're right. Innocent.
But I guess that's belied by literally every single person who's been brought up to testify about his finances. I mean, that is the problem with the case.
It seems like he was much more of a control freak than he's letting on. And basically everyone says, oh, no, this was explicitly because of the campaign.
Yeah, which, I guess it really sort of, well, obviously it's because they're playing to an audience of one and they're not actually playing to the jury. But the whole Stormy Daniels thing isn't even that key to the case. And he is so focused on denying or promoting this lie that they didn't have sex, that it seems like they've lost focus on what he's actually being charged with, which is like covering up campaign contributions. And I don't see how, unless he's going to get on the stand, which he's not. They have done. Oh, it'd be amazing if they did. Oh, the prosecution would just they'd need a weekend to recover just from like all the orgasms they'd have from hearing that he was going to be put on the witness list. But I mean, everyone says he forces everyone to negotiate things down, that he actually voids checks if he doesn't want to pay them, that he personally, if it comes out of his personal account, he is the only person who can sign that, and that they had structured Michael Cohen's payments to look like a retainer after grossing them up to cover his expense for paying off Stormy Daniels, the tax that he would owe on that. And apparently he'd done some out-of-pocket, he paid out of pocket for some polling from this Red Finch polling company. And so it's just,
funnily enough, oh, sorry. Go.
Yeah, no. And I was just going to say, he looks so boxed in a corner. And I know that the prosecution, obviously, we haven't seen any defense witnesses yet. But everyone the prosecution puts on, even Hope Hicks, who's friendly to him, or his, the woman that came on and cried again because she wrote a book. She felt Trump had been unfairly handled all say the same thing. Like they all basically say he was obsessed with his money. He knows exactly what goes in and out of his bank accounts, and only he can sign off on stuff. And he doesn't sign off on stuff unless he wants to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Two things. One is the evidence you sort of laid out it shows how this case is actually a really good example of the fact that despite what you might hear on TV shows, what people might say colloquially, most cases are done with circumstantial evidence, and circumstantial evidence can be very strong and very convincing because, yeah, technically you have to go into someone's mind and figure out what they were doing and why they were doing it.
Mens res?
Yeah, indeed. But if in this case, it's everyone says he has a way of doing things that is extremely careful, extremely detail oriented. This man is obsessed with his money. He's obsessed with his image. He takes a personal interest in it. It would be so wildly out of character for him to not pay attention that, and then you see, like you said, the structuring of the payments, that sort of consciousness of guilt. He knows he's doing something wrong. Otherwise, he wouldn't be trying to hide it. Right? All that is circumstantial evidence that you can go and go, okay, no, he actually knew what he was doing. There's not a doubt here. Now, my understanding is part of the argument that the defense is making and intends to make, perhaps in closing, is that part of the payments were done while he had actually gotten into the White House. So they could say, well, look, yes, that was his general practice when he was a businessman, but come on, he's suddenly, for the first time holding public office, and he's president of the United States, you'll forgive him if he was a bit distracted, right? And, it's not the worst argument in the world. It just depends on if the jury would buy the idea that he might be so overwhelmed by it that he would, things would fall through the cracks.
Did you see the presentation about, he was asked about whether or not he wanted a Tiffany photo frame to put a picture of Melania's mom on, and there was a message like when his assistant said, "Oh, I can get one for $650 with the 10% discount. Is that too much to spend?" Or notes on, "Oh yeah, your golf course fees are coming due. Should I try to get them free for you for the next 4 years or 8 years?"
Yeah.
So the idea that he could have time to, I mean, I know they're going to try. This is it. I don't even they're going after, I guess they're trying to whittle away at the credibility of witnesses. But what is the alternative scenario here? I mean, I don't remember hearing one from the defense. They were saying, "Oh, he didn't have sex, and we're going to prove that he's innocent of these charges." But they didn't say, that I recall, how he was innocent of them. And so it's going fast too.
They don't have to prove an alternative set of facts. That's often very valuable if you can have an alternative narrative. Sort of your "I didn't kill them, here's who did" type thing. But since it's not the defense's burden, sometimes you will see a defense attorney put on no evidence and just make argument because they'll go, it's entirely the state or the government's burden, and they didn't meet their burden. Whatever might have happened, look, there might have been a crime here. It wasn't the one that was charged. Someone might have done something wrong. It just wasn't my client, right? And so, while having the alternative set of facts is good, just having stripping the credibility of the witnesses enough to create that reasonable doubt in the mind of the jury might be enough, especially since these are all the same charge, right? Like when I get clients, sometimes I have multiple charges for the same offense, but oftentimes it'll be like, well, they've got an aggravated assault because they shot someone. They've also got an attempted murder because they shot that person. Plus they were a person not to possess, so they've got a couple of gun charges, right? And so, the jury might compromise in a lot of my cases and go, well, we don't think he was trying to kill the guy, even though it technically meets the definition of attempted murder. Maybe we'll just convict on the ag assault and one of the gun charges. And, they're allowed to do that. They're allowed to make those types of compromises. But these are all the same offenses for the same type of activity. So they can just straight up do the Machiavellian thing of, look, he probably did it. They didn't prove it. Let's convict him on half of them. But if they create reasonable doubt in the minds of the jury, what's good enough for reasonable doubt for one charge could be good enough for all of them.
Mm-hmm. And that's what would be interesting. Like, and this is why juries are a bit of a roll of the dice, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah. I had I did a mock trial in high school, which I don't know if that translates into Europe, but basically it is a club where you pretend to be a lawyer.
Yeah, fucking massive nerds. Yeah.
Yes. One of the people I got to meet through that was actually one of Bill Cosby's defense attorneys. And one of the things he mentioned was that, as a general rule of thumb, it's sort of, if you're innocent, especially if you're innocent on a point of law, you want to go in front of a judge. If you're guilty, throw it to a jury, because God only knows what a jury is going to do. Right? Oftentimes the government gets its conviction anyway, but you've got a better chance of not like grifting a jury, but, making them uncertain enough to convict than you do with a judge. Who's what question where? Mm-hmm. Could Trump use his song as evidence? Is that the question? Because if that's the question, yes, he could. In fact, if I recall correctly, Michael Jackson did that. Because there was testimony about what his penis looked like, and so they had him drop his pants to the jury.
You've missed my awesome joke response, though. They said, could he use his schlong in court? And I say, they don't have microscopes in courtrooms.
That is a fair point.
How would they even examine it,
It's just the head. There's no shaft.
It's all head.
Yeah.
Gigaday.
It's like a dude without a neck.
I just think that the state didn't prove their case is a very risky defense strategy in the light of a paper trail case.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, you will get the judge will instruct the jury on the law, and some lawyers won't argue the law in their opening and closing. That's not a great tactic, I found, but sometimes they don't. They just trust the judge to do that, and they want to tell a story. In a case like this, you could reasonably say, look, we don't have a great alternative set of facts, and there's also a risk to trying to propose an alternative story, right? Because by presenting an alternative story, you're putting forward your own positive case that you need to support, even though technically the burden's not on you. So you run the risk of the jury saying, well, we don't believe your alternative, therefore you're guilty, rather than we believe the government's evidence, therefore you're guilty. So it can be a risk of actually putting forward a case and making it look like two competing narratives, and then the jury just chooses whichever one seems most likely, rather than actually putting the government to their burden. With the paper trail aspect of it, I think that's why essentially they're not gonna be arguing that he didn't commit the acts, right? You can only argue the intent portion of it because they have him dead to rights on it.
Yeah.
If it were one of his other cases, I mean, it's going to be the same thing with some of the document cases, right? That was the thing with Biden as well. It was like, look, we found the documents in your house. Mm-hmm. Like, there's just nothing you can do about that.
Have they tried? And I think this is a very Trump strategy. If you just say fake news, then you win.
You know what? Maybe there's someone on the jury who would buy that. I don't know.
Probably.
Did that jury pool include like Staten Island and Long Island?
Probably, but I don't know what that means.
Those are more Republican areas of New York.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Because jury nullification is always an option, right? I mean, technically, the jury is allowed to acquit you, even if you're 110% guilty. Juries have done it before.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of white people got away with a lot of murder because of fucking racists on the jury who wouldn't convict them.
Yeah.
Ah, that's a whole
But,
American. Yep.
That is one thing we did get straight from the British. The idea of juries also acting sort of as moral arbiters, right? The jury going like, well, yeah, you did it, but like this shouldn't be a crime. Or, you know, technically you didn't have a good legal reason for why you did it, but you had like a good moral reason, so we're going to treat it as if, you know, you didn't do it.
Well,
It's
exactly.
something
Yeah.
that's been whittled away.
Yeah. Was it that which is necessary is legal or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And so juries, especially at the time of our founding, were a bit more powerful. We've whittled away at it since then, right? Like you're not allowed to argue jury nullification to the jury, right? You'll get a mistrial for something like that. But courts have consistently found it's still part of their inherent powers. They can exercise it if they want. And in theory, you only need one person who would be able to hang the jury. I do not believe New York allows for majority rule on juries. Because believe it or not, rules around juries are not uniform. I think, if I recall correctly, the lowest that the Supreme Court has said you can have a jury pool to convict someone and it be constitutionally still considered due process is either 5 or 6. I don't remember if it's 5 is not permissible, you have to have 6, or 5 is permissible.
Now, are you from New Zealand?
It's around there.
You're saying they have to have sex?
You
have to have 6.
Well, you know, courtrooms do like to use Latin, and 6 in Latin is indeed sex. So why not? Which is very funny because the Latin word for sex is 6.
So if 6 people had sex, it would be 6 people having 6.
Yes.
And Australia and New Zealand, 6.
6.
6 people having 6.
Not
It's
a real
also
country.
a religious group from northern India.
6.
The
That is
Sikhs.
true.
Six
Six
people having 6. Now I just want to watch Flight of the Conchords.
God, we are legally adults. So,
You still haven't sent me your diploma, by the way. What's happening there? Disgusted.
Yeah, you know what? You have my Discord. Hit me up in DMs. I will happily show you my every angle.
My diploma from every angle.
Yeah, you've got to get the full girth of the diploma, I think, haven't you, really?
Yeah.
So do you have any predictions on how you think the case is going to go? What the jury's going to do?
I don't know. I keep a firm policy of I don't make predictions about trials I haven't watched all the way.
Yeah.
Just because there's so many things that can go into it, I just as a matter of principle prefer not to. Yeah.
Do you have
I am looking forward to it though. Yes.
The idea of him standing up in front of a jury of his peers and being pronounced guilty.
Do you
a jury
need a
of
few
his
moments?
peers? Hang on, a jury of Trump's peers would have to be pond scum. Surely.
I mean, I'm not going to argue that that's
Yeah, New Yorkers.
Oh, burn!
What, are you from New Jersey?
I'm from Philly.
That's even worse.
Yeah.
You elected
dare
John
you.
Fetterman, you monster.
Yeah, okay. I'm not thrilled about that. We're also the people who gave the world Rick Santorum, so.
Oh, that is true.
True, but you also
now we
gave
have
us
a
the
new
Fresh
term.
Prince of Bel-Air, so thank you for that.
That's it's a give and take
swings-
sort of area.
Swings and roundabouts, really.
Yeah.
Kevin, any other questions that you might have on the Trump trial?
Not on the trial, no. I'm mainly thinking about cock.
When aren't
If
you?
I'm honest.
So
Well,
a
that's-
usual
that is
Friday
true,
night
yeah.
for you.
Yeah, that's a Tuesday afternoon. Yeah. No, I haven't particularly because this basically my preparation for this was
Show up.
Yeah, show up, and these two can talk.
Yeah. What do you think about Cannon's shenanigans? So
I mean,
Judge
she's gonna get
Cannon-
away with it.
Yeah,
Like she's
she
gonna
is.
get away with it, basically.
She's basically doing a catch and kill with the court system.
Who is?
Yeah.
Well, no. What?
So Eileen Cannon is the judge in Florida overseeing Trump's documents trial.
Okay.
And she's been perpetually delaying everything about the trial. Part of it seems to be because she's just a new judge. There's things that she doesn't know how to deal with, and so there's a lot of extra filings that need to happen to inform her on the law, which is actually not bad. That happens all the time. You're a new judge. You can't know literally every law and every bit of case law, so you'll come across a scenario and you'll go, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Parties, research it, write me your opinions, argue about it, and I'll make a decision in a week. Except she's done that on virtually everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's already going slowly. And then she's recently, I think, just taken the trial date off the calendar. And it was like, I'll reschedule it eventually. Problem being, of course, that one's a federal case. If Trump gets reelected, that case goes away.
Would you say, therefore, that Cannon needs to be fired?
Were you gargling something over there?
I fucking wish.
Yeah, but the problem is that she can get away with it, right? Like the only thing you can do to punish her is like impeach her.
Yeah.
This
I
is
was
just
gonna
how
do
much
that.
latitude federal judges have.
Yeah. Two things. One, I heard a theory that Jack Smith might have a sort of ace up his sleeve in that
Christy, don't
one-
assume that everyone knows who these people are. Who is Jack Smith?
he is the federal prosecutor who is doing most of the federal cases.
Oh, okay.
All of the federal cases, actually, that Trump is
Yeah.
currently, whether it's Judge Chutkin's court or Eileen Cannon's. But he also committed a crime at his Bedminster golf course by flashing around documents, and that he might, try to put forth a grand jury to charge him in New Jersey. I think that's where that is. So that it would be on separate charges of that kind of stuff. But here's a perhaps a more terrifying question. If, God forbid, not that I'm I am an atheist, so that's kind of like tongue in cheek. But if, let's say, Chutkin's case starts proceeding after November, between the November and January period, right? Or Eileen Cannon finally does put a date on the docket for this case. Can Trump interfere with an ongoing federal case?
If he's reelected president?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's terrifying.
Yeah. Not only just because as sitting president, DOJ precedent is that you don't prosecute, but just because, I mean, he technically is the one who has to see the laws carried out as the executive. Now he delegates that authority to the Attorney General and the Department of Justice and some of the independent agencies like the CIA, but ultimately the constitutional power rests in him, and he can take it back at any point in time by ordering them to do something. Now there's some things that are outside of his remit, just with like the CIA, but the DOJ, it's a political appointed position. It's directly underneath him. That's how you get Nixon's Friday or Saturday Night Massacre, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just the president's whim. So if he gets reelected, all of these federal cases go away on January 20th. Maybe he'll wait till like 3 p.m.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, the end of democracy as we know it.
And I feel fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's the end of democracy as we know it. I feel like, how apparently someone did a cover of the Billy Joel song "We Didn't Start the Fire."
Yes, Fallout Boy. It was
Imagine Dragons, I think.
No, it was Fallout Boy. It was terrible.
Oh, Fallout.
Yeah, they changed it.
Yeah.
But like, the thing is, Billy Joel mentioned things that were historically important to him and his life and stuff like that, whereas Fallout Boy just mentioned some things that happened. It was fucking awful.
Well, I think we need a remake of the End of the World as we know it and just the End of Democracy as we know it. Because I feel like that's coming. Anyway.
Edward Bernstein! Sorry.
All right. So now that we've been going an hour.
Yeah.
Lord Frites
You want
donated
to move on to
$3.
the Supreme
I
Court
would
one?
like to
The thing
hear
that
the
we
opinion
actually
of
brought you
Marcus
on
regarding
for
the
initially.
constitutionality of the
So
Anti-Semitism
why don't you go ahead
Community
and
Service
just catch
Act,
our audience
which
up
would
and
mandate any
remind them,
individual
because it has
found
been a
guilty of
while now. I
unlawful
think it was
activity be
mid-April. It's almost been a
assigned
month
to
now.
conduct community service
The
in Gaza.
context, the arguments, and
Christy,
yeah.
if we're sort of nearly in the middle of a thing, right? Just because I'll forget, I've just received a donation from Lord Frites who wants to know Marcus's opinion on the Anti-Semitism Service Act thing that he mentioned. That I don't know the exact wording of it. That means that anyone guilty of anti-Semitism would have to do community service or something.
Oh, yeah, I'm aware of this.
That's like
wouldn't work.
Haven't they ruled that hate crime legislation is like unconstitutional or some shit?
Yeah, hate crime is permissible free speech under the First Amendment, right? Unless we're going to change Brandenburg v. Ohio, right? So let's see if I can do it off the top of my head. Speech is not protected by the First Amendment when it is calculated and likely to bring about imminent lawless action. And hate speech simply does not qualify for that. That's the difference between, we should, kill some group of people versus you, their person with gun, kill that individual person of this group, right? The former is protected, the latter isn't. So I don't see how it would work. There's quite a lot of states that have some version of a BDS law. You can't get government contracts unless you agree not to engage in BDS of Israel. Sometimes they've been held up by the courts. Sometimes they've been struck down. Overall, I think they're blatantly unconstitutional. I really don't see a world in which you can tell people you don't get government contracts unless you agree not to engage in political speech or action. And so for the same reason, I can't see how you could justify not only will we not give you a government contract, but we'll hand you a conviction and force you to do unpaid labor. Yeah. And especially since the definition of anti-Semitism they're trying to codify is one that is so expansive, it does just include criticism of Israel.
Yeah, which is, just ridiculous. It always seems to me these kinds of pieces of legislation, especially in America, look, it's slightly different here, but in America, where you have a pretty broad and I think rather better approach to the concept of what free speech should include.
Yeah.
It just seems like this is sort of virtue signalling or political position signalling, more likely, that people who are very pro-Israel want to be out there saying, look how pro-Israel I am, and that no court in the world would even take one of these cases seriously, I don't think. Yeah.
We had something like this. So Texas v. Johnson was a Supreme Court case about...
They sued a penis? What?
They sued a penis. Yeah, Texas sued a penis.
Amazing.
Stuff. They didn't like where the penis was inserting itself.
12 inches.
I believe that was before gay marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, apparently Texas is trying to ban porn as well.
Which, actually, now...
Is this just them going after Stormy Daniels? This is really weird now.
No, this is a Texas ban porn. I was watching, who was it? A guy who does the Bulwark, Tim someone. He's kind of like more of a liberty. He's a never Trumper now, but he's Panhorn. Oh, okay. Pornhub suspends site in Texas due to state's age verification law, which I think we all agree with age verification. I do not have a problem with that, but I think that U.S. Supreme Court decision preventing the sale of obscene material to minors, but the question of regulating minors' access to online material has already been well established. The appeals court previously reversed an injunction of a U.S. district court, which had blocked the law from going into effect. So I think it's basically the way they do it. So here, in the latest installment of the dispute between adult content websites and Texas lawmakers, Pornhub suspended service to Texans on Thursday. This was March 14th of 2024, arguing the state's law infringes on adults' rights to access protected speech. Pornhub, one of the most visited websites in the world, sued Attorney General and criminal editorializing there, Ken Paxton, last year to block enforcement of a 2023 state law that requires websites that host pornography to institute age verification measures and display health warnings on its pages.
Health warning? Hang on, what health warning? Well, like on a cigarette packet?
Oh, don't you remember?
Yeah.
I actually posted this in the in our Discord chat.
Watching too much porn will make you gay. Well,
I think I.
That's how it works for me.
Yeah, fair point.
Okay.
That's Pornhub is trying to trans everybody. Godspeed. What is Christy looking
Okay,
for?
yes. If you go back into our conversation above those horrible Craigslist kicker images you sent me,
which I'm now, because you reminded me of them. I think I can show these.
I don't know. If
Their
you can.
intended
They're so
purpose
wrong.
is disgusting,
so-
but the items themselves are perfectly legitimate to show.
I mean, they're as legal as
Oh, the
selling
cigarette
squirrel
packages?
tails.
Yeah, these are. You'll have to watch it on the. Actually, no, I can just share it with you. Fuck it, who cares?
Yeah, you can show our conversation.
Yeah,
It's most
these
just
popped up on the
content.
timeline, and I had to show Christy. They
Yeah.
are squirrels' heads, butt plugs.
Are they made with real squirrel?
I am led to believe so.
Because we used to, for a while, we binged Charlie Barron's, Craig, the Manitowoc Minute, and he had the thing called the Craigslist Kicker. So there were things in there like 3-year-old frozen rabbit meat, probably still
Yeah.
good for your dog.
Or
And
that
bag-
the one that got me was the person who preserved a dead squirrel, and that's what made me think of this. Right when it popped
Well,
up.
it was actually a whole bunch of squirrels' tails, I think.
No,
was a
what it was there was squirrel, and then they hollowed it out, and they were using it as like a place to store
So-
Oh,
pens.
they might be chipmunks.
Was it chipmunks? Whatever, it's some sort of
These
rodent.
might be chipmunks, because
Oh.
squirrels have bigger ears.
Do they? I don't fucking know.
They come up further closer in the top of their head. So I'm
Well,
starting
you'd
to think
think
now these
if
are
they had
chipmunks.
Why on
bigger
earth would you know
ears,
that?
you'd have better grip to remove the butt plug, so they'd make
Because
a better
I've
handle.
lived in a place that have both chipmunks and squirrels. I lived in Wisconsin. So,
Yeah.
I know the difference between a chipmunk and a squirrel. Chipmunks have like stripes down them, and squirrels are basically like.
If you had to stick one of their heads close to your anus, Christy, which one would it be?
No, I
Look
would
at the
put.
teeth on that top one. I'm not sure I want that anywhere near my ring piece.
I would.
That's the
definitely
only
go for-
problem. If
I
it was
would
properly
definitely-
made, yeah, no
Yeah.
problem. Yeah.
I would definitely go for like plastic, whatever, like kind of like not plastic, like, the fake fur, like
Faux
of,
fur,
like,
yeah.
faux fur, big red fluffy, going down like sort of mid knee.
Okay.
I would definitely go for that. So if you squirrel up from there,
If
to
you
the
squirrel up from
Well,
there,
up, you say?
squirrel up from there,
right? What am I looking for?
you're looking for Texas. They're trying to take your porn.
They're trying to take my porn.
Yeah, it's from the 8th
While
of May.
you're scrolling, I will say, Fatous corrected me. Apparently, the Tennessee representative is trying to introduce a bill not that would merely give you community service, but would force you to perform your community service in the Gaza Strip.
Oh
What?
wow!
Which,
well,
can't
that's
do that.
obviously illegal.
No, you doubly can't do that. And now it's not just a free speech issue, like that's
No.
an Eighth Amendment issue.
Also,
Yeah.
this guy is clearly just Rory McIlroy, the golfer. For those who know who that is,
Oh.
that's just him.
Yeah.
That's just who that is right there.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Hey y'all, there's a new policy announcement for the Trump second term. There's a plan by the MAGA Republicans to ban porn.
Yep.
And yeah, I know. This seems ridiculous. Donald Trump, who's such a cad, is probably a porn hound himself, loves porn stars. The idea that he would be the one to ban porn does seem ridiculous. I get that. But the people around him, they are religious freaks. They
Yep.
like control, and they're coming for your porn. Let's back up and show the latest clip that is evidence of this. This is one of Donald Trump's right-hand bros, if you will, Johnny McEntee. He was the one that was in
He looks like a wanker. Ironically.
Yeah.
charge of staffing at the White House and making sure that there were no people that do not adhere to the true MAGA principles about the fake election and all the other bullshit. He's the one that makes sure that that only the true Trumpian cultists will get to work for Trump 2.0. And here he is in an interview with the Daily Wire Ben Shapiro's site, the Daily Wire's Michael Knowles. Let's take a listen.
The
Yeah,
elephant in the room,
recognize
which
that
is
name?
a stain on not only society, but the entire dating culture, which is pornography.
Yeah.
And I think whenever America bans that, which will be happening at some point, everyone will be much better off.
So this is interesting on a lot of levels.
Yeah, good luck
One,
with
I
that.
just wanna,
It worked so well when the federal government tried that with alcohol.
Yeah.
You should
Also,
really.
on that day, my porn hoarding habit will be vindicated. You'll see. You'll all see.
Exactly. He's going to be the fucking the rum runner of the 21st century.
I will be the Al Capone of titties.
Let's go.
draw a fine point on this here. Whenever America bans porn, which will be happening at some point, everyone will be much better off. Now, you might just think, this is just a little bluster from this bro. You know, whatever. Who knows? He's sitting in this man den with a podcaster who's for some reason in a sports
Pause
coat
it.
in their leather chairs.
Can you pause it?
Now, the
Kevin?
podcast...
Also, neither
Do
of
you
them are wearing
recognize-
socks. I can't trust two men sat there not wearing socks.
Do you recognize the other podcaster in that clip? Because we
Michael
watched him
Knowles.
recently. Yes.
Yeah.
He was a guy who said it would be better to be colonized by Christians because what we have, Christians apparently have values, but also Christians don't live by thou shalt not steal. They live by the law of conquest.
Yes, that is him. He also said that transgenderism needs to be eradicated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a really dangerous theocratic piece of shit.
How about this? How about you leave everybody the fuck alone and you practice your religion? How about that? How about you apply your religious beliefs to yourself?
No, I
Yeah.
think we need to
Leave
stop
people
him
the fuck alone
personally.
is his religion.
I
Like,
don't mind religious people in general, but he, I think, needs to have all of his rights stripped from him. No freedom of religion. You will have to quarter soldiers. So,
Yeah,
That's from
that
Michael
gives a
Knowles.
whole new meaning.
Is
By the
that
way,
like
it's kind of in
where Christie has her fire escape?
Yes.
yes, she quarters quite a number of soldiers on the rig. Oh, love it. Oh yeah, he did kind of do a softcore gay porn thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because of course they're all failed actors and Hollywood screenwriters.
Yeah.
a softcore porn himself. It's maybe an important fact. Let's just take a quick look at that. Oh yeah, there he is. Hey, Michael. Anyway, that's the guy that wants to ban your porn use. Not hypocritical at all. But John McEntee, Johnny as they call him, you might think, okay, this guy's not like going to be making the top policy in the Trump administration, right? Well, why don't we give you another fact? Here's the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. You know him. You might know him from the fact that he has the Covenant Eyes application in which his son is his accountability partner.
Right.
So Covenant Eyes is the software that we've been using a long time in our household. My accountability partner right now is Jack, my son, right? And so he's 17. So he and I get a report of all the things that are on our phones or all of our devices once a week. If anything objectionable comes up, your accountability partner gets an immediate notice. I'm proud to tell you my son he's got a clean slate, all right?
Not at all
'Cause
creepy.
he knows how to use a VPN.
That is a fucking grotesque. Why is it with
You know-
Christians being mental? I mean, I
Yeah.
thought the purity ball idea was bad, and it is. But I mean, it is. They want Big Brother. They want Big Brother watching you 24/7. And it's such a giveaway. Why do you need an accountability body? What the fuck would you be doing if someone else wasn't watching?
Porn, basically.
Well, yeah, but that's fine. I imagine it's probably not good porn, is it?
Well, I mean, not if you're an evangelical, right? If
No,
you
it's gonna
sinned
be-
with a woman in your heart, it's already an
Yeah,
offense.
that shit was enough to get Jimmy Carter almost not elected in 1976, and now the same people who are like Jimmy Carter blasted, like he committed lust in his heart, like Trump with a porn star. Yeah, that's okay. Hey, he's an instrument of God.
Well, so was the Rice married Ronald Reagan, so
Yeah, that's amazing how their morals shift when it's about power.
True. Yeah. Also, again, when you repress sexuality, you're going to lead to far more degeneracy than the most sordid of pornography.
No, they want to suppress. Again, what you always find in these situations is that they want to control everyone's sexuality except for like the elite men at the top, who are gonna do. It's basically like what the Saudis do. It's like every fucking patriarchy, which is there's the standards for you and the standards for us, and our standards are we get to do what the fuck you want, and your standards are you have to live by a religion that I don't even follow.
Yeah. Also, I've just realised Mike Johnson said that his son had a clean slate.
Yep.
Didn't mention
what about
his
him?
record on this at all.
Nope, he didn't say anything about him.
Suspicious.
Because he wants to make sure that there are protections in place to prevent him from his worst impulses on the inside. And I might imagine what some of those might be. And so Mike Johnson, he wants us to have accountability partners to make sure we don't watch porn. He wants the government to get involved to make sure we don't watch porn. He will be the Speaker of the House making laws. The same guy that one time argued against gay sex being legal. He's argued against that in an official amicus brief.
You know, on the down low, he fucking loves cock.
Well, that's why he wants it to be illegal, so he can feel dirty when he does it.
Exactly, yeah. What's the point? If it's legal and just allowed, it's boring. It takes all the edge and fun out of it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Before the Supreme Court, he wants to ban abortion at 0 weeks, and here he is,
at
Mike
0
Johnson,
weeks.
Back in 2006 in court. There he is, nice suit, fat tie, arguing for shutting down a porn shop in Evangeline Parish, up in Northwest Louisiana, where I live. So this is a guy that's wanted to shut down porn shops before. He would be the person that would be in charge of legislation. And we have a key Trump staffer, somebody in his inner circle, Johnny McEntee, saying that he thinks porn should be banned. And then we have a third data point, which is that Texas and 6 other states have basically functionally banned Pornhub already. You have to get a VPN to go to Pornhub in Texas right now because the state has put in very...
And that did happen, by the way. I remember reading this the day that this all kicked off in Texas. The searches for the phrase VPN in Texas went up by like 1,000-fold because people wanted to watch their fucking porn anyway, and they were going to, and you're not going to stop them. Learn from prohibition, you dickhead.
Well, it's like Charlie Kirk saying, oh, you know, abortion is really unpopular. Most people don't want it. So if we want to force it upon an unwilling population, we can't have debates close to elections about abortion.
Yeah, the things we believe no one wants, so we have to just do it when it's not around election time.
Yeah.
Is, I mean, one hell of an admission, really.
I mean, I appreciate the self-awareness to actually be outside of your bubble and go like, oh no, people would riot if they knew what we actually wanted to do. Yeah. We have to lie to them.
Yeah.
Onerous requirements for age verification. Age verification on porn makes sense, but there have been other states, like Louisiana, for example, that have passed a law in a way that makes it seamless, so people can, you know, peruse the porn of their choice if they want.
Not semenless.
That would defeat the whole purpose.
Right, literally. Yeah.
Want to, but that's not how they want to do it in Texas. They want to make it as harsh as possible, so the main porn sites out there have now banned it. So if you doubt that they want to come for your porn, well, they're doing it at every level. The Speaker of the House in Congress has a record of doing this. In Texas, at the state level, they have already put in restrictions so harsh that porn is functionally banned. And you have a Trump staffer saying that he thinks that porn should be banned at some point, one of the people in his inner circle. This is the thing, guys. Like, these bros, they are just looking out for themselves. And if you think, if you are a bro out there that likes porn, I do have to say, I made this whole video now about porn. I've got a lot of vices in my life. Porn's not my number one. I'm not a big porn man.
It's like number 6.
Though. I am a libertarian. I want everybody to be able to...
Oh, my condolences. I didn't realize you had such
this is it. Like, if you believe in individual liberty, do you have to call yourself a libertarian? Because, like, I believe in, like, people having private lives and the government, basically, like, when harm comes in, that's when I want to see the government enforce, whether it's harm through dirty water, polluted air, whether it's from domestic violence situations or child abuse. Like when there is an interest, when people's rights and dignity are being violated, that's when I want to see the state step in. I don't want to see the state step in and like what people do consensually in their bedrooms, or if you want to go and see an adult thing, as long as kids aren't getting in. I think there should be an adult world for adults who want to do adult fucking things, and who you love, like not the state's business. But does that make me a libertarian? I don't think it does.
Well, no, because you don't then add in like,
right? Oh, we got crosstalk here. So we'll let the guests go, and then we'll let Kevin go, because he always gets to talk. Go ahead, Marcus.
Oh. Okay, I was going to say, well, it depends on your definition of harm, right? Because if you're, a very conservative fundamentalist Christian, which unfortunately I did in fact used to be, then yeah, you do view the moral corruption of pornography as being some form of harm. The same way we would view any other type of illegal pornography, right? There's harm in creating a demand for it because there's harm in making it. There's harm in consuming it because of the psychological effect it does to you. Now, none of that's actually supported by any evidence, but they could certainly make a coherent case for it, the same way one could, and I believe I don't know if there's a proposal in the UK or if it's actually gone into effect in any sense yet. You could say, look, you can consent all you want, but smoking harms you. We as government are going to step in and tell you no.
Okay, counterpoint. When you say that there's no evidence to suggest it causes damage.
What, porn?
You used to be a conservative person, yes?
Yes.
A good lad. And then you started watching porn, and now you send your pictures of your penis to Frenchmen on the internet.
They didn't overlap.
I
first saw porn at
if that's
8,
not a sign of moral corruption, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I don't get the moral harm thing. I don't think that's a good enough argument for state intervention. I mean, it's an argument that can be made, but I do think, that's not it's not the job of the. And I know you.
Have you
agree.
seen
It's
the
not the
fetid
job
scum
of
that fucking
government to
stalks the halls of
decide whose
government?
morality gets enforced?
Exactly. Have you seen the kind of fucking degenerate filth that stalks the halls of parliaments? I don't want these fuckers deciding what's moral or not. Jesus.
Yeah, and honestly, the whole time that the church has been saying this stuff is exactly when like all the pedophile and sexual abuse and sexual exploitation inside the churches goes unreported. So it's but yeah, I think that you're a grown up. There are consequences, and if you're gonna take a drug and put it in your body, yeah, that's your choice. If you want, and I also think you should have, for people who have addictive personalities or addictions, we should also have services available so you can get out of that. I don't think we should criminalize, I'm sure nobody here disagrees, we shouldn't criminalize sex workers, right? But if people decide they want to get out of the sex work industry, we should, like, with any other person who decides they want to transition to a different job, you should provide them with the resources they need to, make those, to empower them to make those choices. So, yeah, I guess, but is that, I guess in some ways that's left libertarian, maybe? Because it's an anti-moralist.
Well, libertarian literally used to mean non-state socialist.
Yeah.
Literally, Murray Rothbard, I think, boasted about it in one of his books about how the right stole that word in America.
Yeah, I didn't know that. History of
libertarian. Libertarian socialists were essentially anarchists in the 19th century.
Yeah, this is very much a case of sort of America's cultural dominance, where we personally fucked up a term and have now inflicted it on the rest of the world.
Yeah, we tend to do that a lot, actually.
Yeah. So now when someone says they're libertarian, I think to myself, oh, you suffered brain damage. Cool. Yeah.
Oh, I always think so. You have interesting opinions about the age of consent.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna be honest.
They probably know the age of consent in different jurisdictions, and you do have to wonder why that is.
Yeah, they've really ruined the people who are libertarians have ruined the word libertarian. People have appropriated the term, I should say.
Can someone link, and it's not relevant at all to anything we've talked about, but I do want to watch it. Can someone link that libertarian debate about driver's licenses again? Because it's the
I was hoping
funniest
you'd do the
shit
one
I've
from Creationist
ever
Cat for the governor of Wyoming or whatever it was, Montana.
Oh, that was amazing. Yeah, that was Blitzkrieg. No, this was amazing. This was the Libertarian presidential caucuses or whatever the fuck it was, primary, back in 2016 when Gary Johnson, he of What is Aleppo fame, when he eventually became the candidate, and he, and it's pronounced Viominge, please.
Viominge.
Yeah,
North Dakota.
During that primary, they had all of the people on the stage, and there was like half a dozen of them or whatever. And the question was, do you think that someone should have to have a license to drive a car? And Gary Johnson was the only one who said, like, yeah, I think you should have to have some sort of competence.
It seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Well,
whereas
you know
the
what
rest
the
of them
irony
were
is?
so mental, like in ascending order of fucking crazy shit. It's so
Were they
funny.
all white guys too?
Of course
The Libertarian Party presidential debate.
The only black guy in the room was the guy
Does
asking
anyone
the
else
question,
belong
Larry
to
Elder.
the Libertarian Party except a bunch of white guys?
Of course it fucking is.
And the worst part is, Johnson wasn't even like emphatically you need driver's licenses. He hedged. He was like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's some sort of competency test, maybe. I wouldn't know the contours of it. Like,
Mr. McAfee. This government survived, and this nation survived.
Oh no, this isn't the this. Hang on, unless it might be involved in there somewhere. Hang on.
Outlawed. The forced discrimination should have been repealed. That is the.
Oh my god, that dude is like every fucking annoying libertarian on my college campus. Ever.
You know what he looks like?
He's the
alien. He's the alien from.
Should someone have to have a government-issued
Men in
license to
Black,
drive?
where he shoots him in the head and then his head grows
Oh
back?
yeah, the pawn shop one.
He looks like that mid-regrowth.
You're right, his ears are
Yeah.
the first thing to grow
And
back.
he's shiny like the guy. Oh god, it's weird.
He's got his mullet going on too.
He really does. Yeah,
I have a feeling there's gonna be a lot of mullets in this debate.
yeah, probably.
A car. Hell no.
What's next?
Hey.
Requiring a license to make toast in your own damn toaster?
And apparently toasters are also
Oh god, it
potentially,
is the white guy convention, isn't it?
potentially deadly. Yeah, you can kill loads of people with a toaster.
Yeah, I don't trust that guy
To
to operate a
drive?
toaster.
You know, I'd like to see some competency exhibited by people before they drive.
Boo!
They booed him for saying maybe you should have to be able to
What
drive
are you,
a
all
car.
Tesla drivers now? Are you all Tesla investors?
So wild.
I don't know if it was this debate, but during that same primary election, Gary Johnson got booed for saying he thinks it should be illegal to sell heroin to minors.
Got booed for that.
Yep.
God.
So he was okay with selling heroin. We can legalize heroin. He's fine with that. But it was the selling it to minors bit where he went, I'm sorry, I'm not sure you should be able to sell it to an 8-year-old. I don't know where they're getting the pocket change for it, but...
I never understood how libertarians could oppose abortion rights. That never made any sense to me.
Non-aggression principle. If you view the fetus as a human being and then the abortion is doing physical harm to it,
But what
it's
about-
the equivalent of shooting a person.
Hang on, but if we're going to talk the non-aggression principle, it has to work both ways. If the baby kicks inside, that counts as physical assault, and therefore you're allowed to drop an atomic bomb on it.
I was going to say, I think you do have to be proportional.
Well, actually,
you can't go all American police.
No.
on the fetus.
I've heard libertarians unironically argue that proportionality is not a factor at all, and that if someone steps on your lawn, killing one blade of grass on your lawn that you own, you can drop a nuclear bomb on their house.
Insane.
That's a thing I've actually heard a
position.
human adult say.
Are you confident in both of those classifications?
What do you
Human
mean?
and
They
adult.
are.
Yeah, there you are, absolutely, yeah.
Daryl Perry's voice.
Oh, you get the idea anyway, yeah, they're fucking
Yeah.
mental.
Yeah.
Do you need a fucking license to make toast in your own toaster? I wish you had an IQ higher than a toaster, mate. Fuck me. Anyway, do we be talking about Trump or something?
Oh yeah,
yes.
we were to the Supreme Court.
Yeah. So the background for this, for people who don't know or don't remember, Donald Trump is being charged in federal court in D.C. in front of Judge Chutchkin for conspiracy to defraud the U.S., I believe, along with various other things related to January 6th and his attempt to overturn the election. One of the things he's argued is that he can't be prosecuted because he has presidential immunity. Judge Suskind rejected that, and a unanimous DC Court of Appeals affirmed her decision. That court also had 2 Republican appointees on it. I believe it was actually the Reagan appointee who wrote the decision as well. So that's now gone off.
It was en banc, or it was the court, the 3 court. All of them signed that.
They issued it per curiam.
Yes, that's
You're
the
right.
one. That's
Yeah.
right.
And then it got appealed to the Supreme Court, where we had oral arguments a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
About that, which was interesting. I would very much recommend people go and listen to the oral arguments if you get a chance. Sometimes oral arguments can be a bit esoteric. Don't listen to a tax case would be my advice. And certainly not one on like procedure or something like that. But a lot of the court's oral arguments are actually genuinely entertaining. I find it frustrating because Alito is progressively unhinged, and I feel he has a grudge against my individual liver.
Whoa, okay, you need to like unpack a lot of that. So, increasingly unhinged, unpack that. Your liver, unpack that.
My liver, because he drives me to drink.
Oh, I see.
That's easy. In terms of being increasingly unhinged, so Trump's arguing for complete presidential immunity or absolute immunity, and Alito is entertaining this insanely. But one of the points he makes is, if the president is not able to be immune from criminal prosecution, won't we just end up with a system where every 4 years the president preemptively pardons themselves? Which, I mean, is possible.
Never happened.
But also, yeah, as counsel pointed out, I think it was Gorsuch actually who pointed out, we've never decided if the president's allowed to pardon themselves.
Yeah, for a
so
reason.
like he's asking a hypothetical that also has a question of unsettled constitutional law involved. Absolutely bonkers. He wants to decide a whole bunch of additional constitutional issues that aren't before the court, which several of the justices pointed out to him. I believe Justice Barrett did, and Justice Brown Jackson. Both of them went, we can issue a narrow opinion here, and in theory, that's what we're supposed to do. In fact, there's precedent on it written by the Chief Justice. So really, it shouldn't be that difficult of a question. But as Gorsuch pointed out, they're not. Actually, I think it might have been Alito actually straight up said, like, I'm not concerned about this case. But Gorsuch pointed out that, their decision will be precedential. They're writing an opinion going forward, sort of for the ages. And so they're entertaining a whole bunch of ancillary issues just to see whether or not I guess they want to settle this entire area of constitutional law.
Can they? I mean, is that...
The Supreme Court can do whatever it wants.
Who the fuck's going to stop them? Are you going to appeal to a higher court? No, you're fucking not.
I guess, they're just going to pull another Bush v. Gore, huh?
Possibly.
Yeah,
I mean, they're just going to take up the entire issue of all of immunity, and this isn't like go, okay, then they're going to have to create clear lines. They're not going to be able to say, oh, here are some ideas. Now I'm going to kick it down to a circuit court judge and let her decide what is and isn't what we mean in our heads without writing out anything meaningful, and then we'll get it back. And then, I mean, that's fucking insane.
I cannot express to you how often that happens.
Oh God.
Well, they should just send it back as in the form of a riddle.
Well, she already ruled. She already ruled that his actions were outside of, like his official acts.
My first is in 12th Amendment, but not in a canoe. What am I? Yeah.
Well, that's
so
the
I'm
thing,
sorry,
right?
I'm jumping the gun a little.
No, you're fine. But that's the thing. So at least it's been a while since I've read Trutskind's opinion. My understanding of it was that she didn't say what he did was outside of his official acts, therefore no immunity. She basically said there was no criminal presidential immunity. Right? We've already got precedent on the civil stuff. The proposal by Trump's defense attorneys is that there is presidential immunity for his official acts.
Can you talk about sovereign immunity in these cases?
Sure. So sovereign immunity is the basic idea that no one can use the government's resources, the courts, to sue the government itself without the government's consent. the government.
Well, that's very fucking convenient for the government, then.
It is. And the government waives sovereign immunity in all sorts of circumstances. For example, the most famous is probably Section 1983, which is provides for.
Yeah.
What's that?
The George Orwell book.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Which provides for suits for civil rights violations. It allows you to sue the government for civil rights violations. The Supreme Court actually heard a case this term that they ruled on unanimously. Basically, it was about whether or not some tax or other financial thing. You were allowed to sue a bunch of different entities, and one of the things mentioned in there was governments, and it was okay. Is that them waiving their sovereign immunity? And the court decided yes. When the government provides a cause of action against itself, that is by definition a waiver of sovereign immunity, right? Okay. But the government has to very explicitly waive sovereign immunity. You don't assume that you can sue the government unless they say otherwise, and that would also apply to the officers of the government. Most lawsuits are, when you sue the government, normally you don't put just like, I'm suing the Department of Education, or I'm suing, the Health and Human Services Department. You will, so like Secretary of the Interior, I believe right now, is former Congressman Deb Haaland. You would sue Deb Haaland in her professional capacity as Secretary of the Interior if you took a problem with something the department did as a whole.
Okay.
And so the idea is, well, the president's immune from suit, potentially, because the office of the executive is part of the government, and the government is immune from suit unless it explicitly waives it. There's also the additional argument that this is a matter of separation of powers, that there are certain powers in the Constitution that are vested solely in the president, and that the other branches have no right to review the president's discretion in those cases. And reviewing his discretion, quote unquote, would extend to a prosecutor in the executive branch then taking something that the president has done in the past to a court and asking them to decide whether or not he violated the law. It's difficult to justify. I mean, most government officials have some form of immunity. I do as a government official when I'm doing my job. And there are certainly reasons for having it. So say, for example, you're prosecuted for a crime you didn't commit. There was evidence that you didn't commit the crime, and it could have been easily discovered, but the prosecutor was incompetent and missed it, or the cop was incompetent and missed it. You get sent to prison for a while and then eventually get released, right? You might want to sue the government for unlawful detainment, and lots of states have statutes where if you're wrongfully convicted, they'll give you money for each year you were in prison as sort of recognition of that. But you wouldn't be able to sue the individual prosecutor and take their individual house, right? They're protected, because the idea is sort of like, well,
no, but you can hire the money you get given by the government to order a hit on them.
You could. Yeah. You would then go back to prison, this time for real.
But you're used to it. Maybe you're already institutionalized and you want to go back. 2 for 1.
Shawshank. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
So the idea is, they're doing their jobs. If they make mistakes, they shouldn't be personally liable, right? Like if I screw up in my job, one of my clients could, in theory, want to sue me. But it's like, well, I'm sorry, but just because he screwed up doesn't mean you get to take his house, right? That's not how that works. You can sue the government as an entity, but not the individual. There's stuff like that for judges as well.
But if a person in office commits a crime,
well, that's the thing.
Yeah, like they just brought up some Democrat on some bribery charges or taking money, and everyone was like, "Okay, nail that motherfucker." So yeah, I'm just saying, like, there's a difference between acting in your official capacity,
yes,
and acting in policy. Yeah,
and that's the argument that Trump's lawyers are making. And honestly, I think that's probably where the Supreme Court will come down. I think they will sort of, reverse in part and remand for further proceedings. They'll say, yeah, the president has some level of immunity, either absolute or qualified, for acts taken in his official capacity. But for acts taken outside of the job description, he has no criminal immunity. Yeah. And then they'll send it back to the lower courts to say, decide whether or not the actions charged fall under his official immunity. The standard that Trump's lawyers are asking the court to adopt is a standard out of the D.C. Court of Appeals from a case called Blazing Game. Funnily enough, Blazing Game v. Trump. It's another Trump case. Yeah. So the standard they have, hold on, I made sure to bring it up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Was that come on, Westlaw. You're making me look bad. You're making me look bad in front of the nerds.
Nerds, where?
Being called a nerd.
Where that? What?
I mean, pots and kettle, but also game recognized game and all that.
Ouch.
Well, I'm sorry, what did you study at school again?
20th century European history and politics. Like all the cool kids.
Yeah, let's say seeing a lot of practical uses for that.
I've seen literally zero practical uses for that.
So, okay.
But it did get me mad pussy, so, just saying.
20th century pussy?
Well, look. all the ladies love a history nerd. Just telling you that. Fact.
Sure. That's why they're so fond of talking about the Roman Empire.
Literally. Right, yeah.
Yeah. So, the test and Blazing Game, they say, although President Trump must demonstrate his entitlement to immunity, that burden will be met if, based on an appropriately objective, context-specific assessment, his alleged actions can reasonably be understood as the official actions of an office holder rather than the unofficial actions of an office seeker. In other words, is it reasonable to think he was exercising his official responsibilities as president, or was he instead engaging in re-election campaign activity as a presidential candidate?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see how organizing people to go and invade Congress is an official act. So,
yes. Yeah. Well, and so
or stealing classified documents.
Well, yeah, the documents one, that's a separate case. He can make a different argument there. He can make the argument that sort of look, he's president. He's allowed to review the documents. He's allowed to take them with him wherever he wants to go to do his job. The question was whether or not his retention of them was potentially illegal, which we would have to see. I'm not particularly familiar with national security law, and I do not intend to become familiar with it. It's a clusterfuck.
What is your area of speciality then?
So I'm practicing right now in criminal appellate defense, but that's mostly because I believe sort of morally,
Why
sort
do
of
you
like the
need to
idea.
practice? You're not good enough.
No. Law school is fucking worthless.
True. No.
I believe sort of like a version of national service. Every lawyer should have to spend some time as a public defender. So I'm an appellate public defender, and I'm going to be doing that for a couple of years.
I think all lawyers should have to lick.
Thank you for your service.
Lick the pubes from the public toilet troughs.
That's probably fair.
Yeah,
so
I do think
there's some lawyers that are into that.
Oh, that's
I do
true.
think that everyone is entitled to a good defense. And certainly public defenders, like people who lack funds or who are, assigned defense counsel, they're often overworked, they're underpaid, they're under-resourced. And as a consequence, you get people being advised to plea out rather than fight in court because their attorney doesn't have the capacity to do a good job on their case.
I've mentioned this story before. The former NBA player, Thabo Cephalosha, he's actually Swiss by birth, but anyway. he was he was like assaulted by a police officer and wrongly arrested and blah blah blah, and it was only because he had NBA money behind him that he was able to fight the case. The person he was assigned said just take the plea deal.
Yeah.
And he would have gone to jail for like 18 months or something. His career would have been over. It would have ruined his fucking life. But you had to fight like a 2-year court case, and eventually it all came out, and he was exonerated and all the rest of it. It was fucking wild. You think that must happen hundreds of thousands of times every year all across America?
Constantly,
There are people in jail who are pled out, whose co-conspirators had the charges dropped after they reached a plea deal. So they were the only person who, a group of people people arrested who actually spent any time in jail, and they might not have even been like the most important person in that situation.
Yeah, there was.
And I jest about lawyers and stuff, but lawyers are enormously important in the process of justice. That's it's just some of the wankers. Come on.
To paraphrase Gideon V. Wainwright, in legal proceedings, lawyers are necessities, not luxuries.
Yeah, absolutely.
But although I had to go to law school with these cunts. You think I don't hate them? Like, imagine how much you hate the British. Now imagine the contempt I feel going into the legal system every day.
Yeah, but imagine the contempt I have for British people who are also lawyers.
That actually, probably feels like an automatic war crime.
Because they also get called KC, King's Counsel, which is extra wank.
They used to be QCs.
Used to be QC because he was a queen, yeah. What happens when there's a non-binary monarch?
Now they're like KFCs.
They are
King's
like KFCs.
Councils.
And they're fucking cooked. Anyway.
What about the Georgia case, though? Or are we done? I mean, okay, so you think that they're going to decide in part, agree in part, and whatever?
Yeah, I could see them adopting the, what's it called? The standard in Blazing Game. There's definitely some. So I feel almost certain some of the charges will survive, almost no matter what test they function. I was struck by a part in Amy Coney Barrett's questioning, which pull up the transcript. So she's talking to Trump's attorney about this official act, unofficial act dichotomy, and she says, okay, but like we're all agreed there are some things that are alleged that absolutely fall outside his official capacity, right? So she says, quote, petitioner turned to a private attorney who was willing to spread knowingly false claims of election fraud to spearhead his challenges to the election results. Private attorney, as alleged, I mean, we dispute the allegation, but that sounds private to me. Right. Barrett sounds private. Petitioner conspired with another private attorney who caused the filing in court of a verification signed by petitioner that contained false allegations to support a challenge. Private attorney. That also sounds private. So Barrett, 3 private actors, 2 attorneys, including
Rudy
those mentioned above.
Just say Rudy Giuliani.
I presume she also
Sidney
means
Powell.
John Eastman.
Yeah, John Eastman, Sidney Powell, all of them. But yeah, John Eastman,
Sidney Powell is a fucking bad bitch. America, you turned your back on a true queen.
She seems to be like the only one, by the way, who hasn't been disbarred. The Texas Disciplinary Council completely bungled her case. All of the other ones have been like disbarred.
Well, ironically, they didn't want to release the Kraken.
Yeah, it's weird how that works. And so, I mean, Barrett's description is 3 public actors, 2 attorneys, including those mentioned above, and a political consultant helped implement a plan to submit fraudulent slates of presidential electors to obstruct the certification proceeding, and petitioner and a co-conspirator attorney directed that effort. That's private. So those actors, you would not dispute that those were private, and you wouldn't raise a claim that they were official, correct? And the attorney says, as characterized, yes.
Oof. Well,
so some part of his charges.
So Fannie Willis is okay.
Probably, yes.
Fannie Willis's case, absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of that, I mean, I'm sorry. Is there more in the Supreme Court that we want to?
On the Supreme Court? No, I mean, unless you have any specific questions or someone in chat does, we can move past that.
Alito, who is the nutter butter?
Alito, yeah. Thomas is also weird, but Alito's just painful.
You think he's going to do his own opinion?
Probably, yeah. He normally does.
How like the president needs to be like a king, because we actually need to get back to kings or some shit like that.
Oh, he desperately wants.
Oh yeah, based. Yeah, do that.
Yeah, just rule by white men. If we go back to when women didn't have rights.
Specifically, the King of England. Yeah.
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 Yes.
The worst possible time for us to rejoin.
Yeah, like if we could have rejoined before Brexit and voted, then maybe.
Oh yeah, everything was fucking sorted before that. Yeah, it was brilliant.
He's Trump now has got another appeal saying, "Oh, Fani Willis should have been thrown off the case,"
yes.
which doesn't do anything about the charges.
No.
And we know he can make his he can pardon himself or basically order whatever tool he hires, as Kristi Noem hires as the Attorney General.
Mm-hmm.
To say make these charges go away and also put Jack Smith in prison, or actually I'll just execute him. It's fine because I'm the fucking president now and I've got perfect immunity. And what are you gonna do about it, Supreme Court? Come at me, bros and chicks. But the state case doesn't go away.
No, the state case does not go away.
He can't. Can he pull any shenanigans on the Georgia case if he's in the White House?
So the idea is that he's essentially, much like many of his other things, he's trying to delay his case, perhaps hoping for, once he's back in power, he's president, he can lean on people involved to get this removed. He could, ask them to remove the DA in question, have her replaced, and then, maybe with someone who would drop the case against him. But in terms of his official capacity, no, there's nothing he can do about either of the state cases here.
All right. So, yeah, but the New York one will be decided probably by the end of the month. For sure, basically.
Yeah.
It might be done in time for Barron's graduation that he's going to skip so he can go to a fundraiser.
Yeah, there's almost no way the New York one doesn't have a verdict out before the election.
Yeah.
The other three, it's up in the air. I think there's a date set for the DC one. And if the Supreme Court, their term ends fairly soon. So we'll have to get a verdict within a couple months at the absolute most.
It's just the idea of a sitting president having to go spend time in a courtroom in Georgia is, Trump has blown through so many of things that I thought I understood about how American politics work that I can't discount it. But the idea of it is just like mind-blowing. He won't be able to he won't be able to go golfing. He'll of course be pissed about that. But seriously, a sitting president having to sit through it. And then what happens if he's found guilty?
Well, it depends on if they send him to prison, right?
Yeah.
He's still entitled to Secret Service protection. There's nothing saying you can't be president from prison. Of course, the most successful socialist candidate ever at the presidential level, Eugene V. Debs, ran from prison.
Yeah.
So it could happen.
I guess instead of having Mar-a-Lago be the winter White House, it'll be the gray White House over in Club Fed.
Yeah.
But that's just like fucking insane to me. Like the idea, I don't understand how people, and of course he will. I think he's going to get nailed on all of these charges in New York myself, but he would then have a felony record. He would have a criminal conviction that would make it more difficult to just go, oh, you're a first time offender. He wouldn't be a first time offender.
Yeah, there's a certain irony in that it wouldn't preclude him from being president. So you could have someone who legally could not own a firearm have access to the nuclear codes.
Yeah, he's definitely going to need to get...
That's one hell of an end around to that particular problem.
Yeah. He's going to also need Ron DeSantis to help him get around the felons can't vote in Florida
thing. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, as well, if he gets a felony conviction in New York State.
Well, you know what? That might be the silver lining, because the Florida voters did pass a referendum to get rid of that, and it's been the Republicans who have been holding it up.
Mm-hmm.
That might mean it actually just goes into effect.
It would be nice if they would just get out of the way so that their special white guy can vote. But you know what they're going to do is they're going to create a special gubernatorial exemption for the white guy, and then try to repress everybody who's done their time and served their debt to society.
Yeah. Well, right now, the thing they're trying to have as a carve out was that it only counted as completing your sentence once you paid back all financial restitution. So if you were still on a payment plan or whatever, you couldn't vote. But if you had enough money to just, drop 10 grand on whoever you swindled, then you could vote.
Of course. Because money always gets you everything you need in America.
Yeah. So I will say, I hadn't planned on it, but you mentioned some of his lawyers and them being disbarred.
Well, talking of one of Trump's lawyers who's been disbarred, Rudolph Giuliani.
Is that from today?
That is from today. He's been suspended
excellent.
by the New York radio station that he used to work for. Lol.
Good. Stay broke, bitch.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, he is fucked. He is fucked.
Apparently, he was trying to live on a budget of $43,000 a month, and he can't do it.
Fucking, just die, you old cunt. Fuck's sake. Anyway, in Minecraft.
I'm hoping for it.
In Minecraft. Was that your baby? No, this next door's. It's very warm for the first time this year. Honestly, I'm looking forward to the beer garden tomorrow.
Was that your baby?
No.
Is that what people in the okay?
Oh, right, no, actually, no. I'll do the George Santos. Not yet.
Oh yeah.
Not yet. Yeah. So anyway, Marcus.
But yeah, I was going to say. Recently, there was a preliminary finding from the D.C. Disciplinary Committee about Jeffrey Clark. I don't know if people remember. Trump threatened to do his own Nixon-style massacre until he got a attorney general who would say that there was an open investigation into fraud in the election. It was only stopped because his entire staff threatened to resign en masse and expose the scheme. The guy he offered to put in charge to do it was Jeffrey Clark, and the board recommended disbarring him. And legal text can be dry and it can be bombastic, depends on the judge. I was reminded of this though, short quote, in talking about Clark. It says, "It is not enough that the efforts of these lawyers ultimately failed. As a profession, we must do what we can to ensure that this conduct is never repeated. The way to accomplish that goal is to remove from the profession lawyers who betrayed their constitutional obligations and their country. It is important that other lawyers who might be tempted to engage in similar misconduct be aware that doing so will cost them their privilege to practice law. It is also important for the courts and the legal profession to state clearly that the ends do not justify the means, that process matters, and that this is a society of laws, not men. Jeffrey Clark betrayed his oath to support the Constitution of the United States of America. He is not fit to be a member of the bar of the District of Columbia."
Damn.
Beautiful.
There's no gray. There's no gray in there, is there?
Yeah, rather definitive. And it does seem like, again, with the exception of Sidney Powell, all of Trump's lawyers are going to get disbarred, and that's not including the ones that are also being prosecuted.
Yeah, I remember when the Jan 6 were broadcasting all of their findings, right?
Mhm.
And there's this guy who I had to look him up because I couldn't remember his name, but he was the one in the White House, like taking on Eastman. And basically his advice, his name is Hirschman. You don't remember, but maybe you remember this, but his advice to Hirschman was, get a great fucking criminal defense lawyer.
Yeah.
And he was right. I mean, it took years. It took, actually, I've got the clip if you want it, Kevin. I can, but it's like 3 minutes long.
Yeah, if you want to. Yeah.
Okay. I'll pop it over in the Discord conversation.
Because you're going to make me show the chipmunk head.
Chipmunk, you want me to put it in the chat then? You want me to put it in the Twitch chat?
No, go for it. Go on.
What,
No, I want to see the chipmunk butt plugs again.
I am kink shaming that. That's weird.
Well, you didn't show my butt plug joke, so.
Oh, the chess pieces, yeah.
No, I think that went on screen.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah, just wasn't mentioned.
It just went without mentioning. It's so common now to see butt plugs on this channel.
Yeah.
True.
So someone asked what would happen. I guess Just Stop Oil broke the glass protecting Magna Carta. What would happen in the U.S. if you did that? Nothing special. I mean, it's just destruction of government property.
Got Magna Carta. What are you talking about?
What's that?
You haven't even got Magna Carta, so how would that work?
I mean, you basically are the 51st state.
Yeah. True, but we
No,
still
I'm
other
sorry.
countries.
Of course, you're not the 51st state. You are one of our territories.
True, that is also correct. But we tend to steal other people's relics, not the other way around.
That is true.
So,
though I would love for a National National Treasure sequel where he steals Magna Carta for the U.S. government, just to put on display.
And there's a treasure map on the back of it as well, because all historical documents have treasure maps on them.
Yeah.
Including the Hitler diaries, which doesn't make sense because they were fraudulent. So that I don't even know how that works. Ugh, silly.
The only good thing
here had
David
a
Irving
discussion
ever
over
did.
whether chipmunks are clearly not squirrels. Chipmunks are chipmunks. Anyway, go ahead.
That's the thing you're taking away from the squirrel butt plug situation.
Yeah, are chipmunk squirrels? It's actually a question you can put into. Are chipmunks and squirrels the same? Oh my God, have you ever not seen a chipmunk? If you've
White House attorney Eric Hirschman testified that the next day, January 7th, he received a call from Dr. Eastman. Here is Mr. Hirschman's account of that call.
The day after, Eastman, I don't remember why he called me, or he texted me or called me, wanted to talk with me, and he said he couldn't reach others. And he started to ask me about something dealing with Georgia and preserving something potentially for appeal. And I said to him, "Are you out of your effing mind?" Right? I said, I only want to hear two words coming out of your mouth from now on. Orderly transition. And I screamed, I said, I don't want to hear any other effing words coming out of your mouth, no matter what, other than orderly transition. Repeat those words to me. And I screamed that. Eventually he said, orderly transition. I said, good, John. Now I'm going to give you the best free legal advice you're ever getting in your life. Get a great effing criminal defense lawyer. You're going to need it. Nice. And then I hung up on him.
Mic drop. Fucking mic drop.
So yeah, that moment in the testimony stuck out in my mind.
Yeah.
True, but in terms of rodents being mistaken for one another, this song cropped up in my timeline.
Yeah, have you ever heard of Alvin and the Squirrels?
No.
I don't think so. You know why? Because it's Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Right, but
that's... Oh, for the love of God.
They do Christmas songs.
But I'm Chinchilla family, baby. I'm a different species, baby. I'm Chinchilla, baby. I'm so cute, fluffy coat filler, baby. Sprout 80 hairs from just one follicle, baby. I'm a serve as a boy, watch bigger, baby. Everything about this road, and I know my bros is endangered out there in the wild. By looking up in the Andes, baby. Living crepuscularly, baby. I grow my coat in so dense it smothers chicks and louse. But I can leap to up to 6 feet, baby. Live for up to 20, baby.
You've learned something
banger.
about chinchillas there.
That's a banger.
It's a fucking banger.
Chipmunks are ground squirrels. Okay, that's... Yeah, I mean, I've seen chipmunks.
Who grinds a squirrel?
And I can't spell. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to have
connoisseurs.
We're going to have a big old capybara... No. Squirrel versus chipmunk. That's the rap battle we need.
It's going to be it's going to be mostly squeaks, though, isn't it? Really, that rap battle. It sounds good on paper, but you know.
Well, Marcus, this was a long time coming, but it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, it was
definitely worth the wait. I always like having you on the show. I appreciate it. I always feel smarter.
Well, thank you.
Like fucking Trump, it's a long time coming. Hey-oh.
Oh, God. Yeah, at some point we'll have to. I would be interested to see some of the legal proceedings in the UK as well, because you've got your own fucking messes.
That's true. Do you ever have public? Do you ever record are trials broadcast or recorded at all in the UK, Kevin?
Not usually. No. The only examples we've had in recent times is some of the Supreme Court cases, and it still seems weird to call it the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
it used to be the Law Lords. Anyway, some of the Supreme Court cases have been broadcast live. So, for instance, the one about the proroguing of Parliament under Boris Johnson was live.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
I think one of the Rwanda appeals was live. But other than that, no, you can literally be done for contempt of court for even taking pictures, still image pictures in court, in the environs of a court building, let alone the actual room. They're very, very sensitive and weird about it. It's like some old school shit.
Oh yeah, didn't some people get in big trouble? Tommy Robinson.
Yes, because he was filming inside a court again, even though he was told, if you do this again, we'll send you to jail.
Get nicked. Yeah.
To be fair, that is illegal in U.S. courtrooms. Like, not just contempt of court; it's statutorily illegal. Right? You can film only with the court's permission.
Yeah.
That's
the thing, they just don't give permission ever in the UK.
This whole thing about open court, doing this in open court, except don't take any pictures and don't record us, and we have to control the flow of information. Like,
well, no, that's the thing. Bizarrely, in Britain, we've got this very strange. Like in America, you sequester the members of. In certain cases, you sequester the jury members, so that they don't get influenced by outside news as much as possible. Whereas in the UK, we do the other way around, where we essentially sequester everyone else in the country so that no one knows anything about the court case, so that those 12 fucking people don't get influenced by our opinions on it.
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous.
You sequester the whole country so
basically,
that they can't find any information.
Yeah, the only people that know anything are those 12 dickheads. What's the point then? For fuck's sake, put them up in a hotel for a week. What the fuck? Jesus. Anyway. So that's what we do, which is much more sensible.
Yeah.
Aren't you glad we set up the legal systems of various countries around the world?
It is strange to me. Some of the things I come across, like finding out that you guys don't have a confrontation clause as a doctrine, is very bizarre for an American.
What does that mean?
So part of our Constitution says you have a right to confront your accuser. It's called the Confrontation Clause.
Oh, no, that's not a thing, no.
Yeah, so it's only like, it has to be like a child sex victim who's scared of the defendant.
Perpetrator.
Right? Like, it's really rare that
that was hard to get.
Yeah. But just hearing that, like, regularly you'll just have an outline of a person with a modulated voice is the testimony. And no one is allowed to know who it is.
Yeah, just some random... the super injunction is honestly the most mental thing in the history of the world.
What, an injunction's not enough? You have to have a super injunction?
Well, an injunction, right? So that you can't
report on the injunction, right?
Well, exactly, but it's an injunction on the injunction. So a super injunction is where you can't even talk about the fact that a person has sought an injunction.
What?
Yeah. We've had this before. There was a guy called Ryan Giggs, a professional footballer, who was eventually the actual story he was trying to cover up was that he was fucking his brother's wife. Mental, I know. Anyway, he was trying to cover that up, so he got an injunction. But then he and his lawyers applied for a super injunction, which was granted, which meant that the newspapers couldn't print stories that he had sought an injunction. So, like, even then, because all you'd say is, this person sought an injunction. You couldn't reveal any details of the story because they got the injunction. But the injunction, the super injunction, is so that they can't even broadcast that. So thankfully, one of the parliamentarians used their parliamentary privilege, which means they can't be, anything you say in Parliament is not legally actionable. And so they came out and said, it's about Ryan Giggs and he fucked his brother's wife in Parliament. so everyone knew.
So that they could get around it, because it was the only legal place where they could say it.
It's fucking ludicrous. Honest to God. And it's used and abused all the time by, like, chemicals companies and stuff. They get super injunctions so that newspapers can't even mention that they've got an injunction to protect them from the, let's say, various cases where they've dumped chemical waste around the world and they're being sued by national governments for it.
Yeah.
The thing is, we did the Magna Carta and then we stopped.
Yeah.
We got that far and went, that's enough freedom.
13th century is as advanced as you needed to be.
Yeah, exactly. They're not technically slaves anymore. What more do they want?
it's one of the reasons why, I envy a lot of the actual statutes that exist in Europe. But the U.S., as flawed as it is, does still have one of the better constitutions in existence. And that's not a compliment to the U.S.
No.
Yeah, that's very much that's like a diss to everyone else for being shitter. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there
if
you
you
go.
can't do better than a bunch of slaveholders, really question yourselves.
Yeah.
True. Although, to be fair, George Washington's epic rap battle of history was fire. So
It was quite
Yeah.
good. Better than Jefferson's. Jefferson spent half of it having to apologize.
yeah, Jefferson was a bit bitch. Yeah. Although, to be fair, I'm so down with revolutions I invented the swivel chair. Is an
It's a very
amazing
good one. Yeah, that is a
pretty
good one.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, okay. This is not just the UK's libel laws. Everyone's libel laws to an American sounds insane. The fact that, for example, I think it was David Irving and Deborah Lipstadt in Canada.
Yeah.
She called him a Holocaust denier, and the burden was on her to prove that he was. It wasn't the burden wasn't on him to prove he'd been harmed in some way, or that what she had said was untrue or anything like that. Her accurately looking at a mental man and saying he's fucking insane. They said, well, you better have a citation for that claim, madam.
Yeah, it
What's
is.
wrong with
It is a
you?
bit wild. Although what I will say is that sometimes America goes a little far. We've talked in the past about Elon Musk literally calling a man a pedophile, and him getting away in court with saying it was a generic insult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That's okay. That needs to be tightened up, I think. That's a pretty clear case of someone making a strong legal allegation of criminality. Maybe that should be actionable, actually.
See, that's the thing with that one. Always seemed to me was kind of like it didn't matter because for these claims you have to prove damages anyway, and the guy's been like, well, who the fuck is believing? Yeah, it's like who the fuck is believing Elon Musk's opinion?
He could pull out the Tucker Carlson case that no one
Yeah.
takes him seriously, so it's fine actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I mean, there is such a thing. It happened to an American baseball player. I don't follow enough of that sport to know his name, but there is such a thing as being defamation proof, where you are legally, your reputation is so shit, nothing anyone can say about you can constitute defamation.
I tell you who that happened to. It was oh fuck's sake, the terrorist guy, Libya.
Well, the guy who is the one, the hook
Gaddafi
arm?
dude, the like Pan Am.
Yeah,
no,
yeah. What was his name?
Muammar Gaddafi, or the guy with the hook?
No, the guy. He was something like the. Oh, anyway, I fucking forgotten what his nickname was. Now, someone in chat will know what I'm talking about. Anyway, a French TV station made a documentary about him, and he took them to court for defamation. And the judge literally said, "You're known internationally as a terrorist. Your reputation is so bad that I don't think realistically they can have harmed your reputation by even if they come out and just said you're the worst person ever. Like realistically, your reputation couldn't be worse.
Already is fucked.
Yeah. The Jackal. That was it. Dave the Jackal guy. What was his name? I'll find it. Fuck, it's going to annoy me.
Day of the Jackal guy.
Yeah. hang
Bruce
on.
Willis?
No.
He did that movie. Oh my god, it was so bad.
It's talk, people, talk. Carlos the Jackal. Fucking hell. Carlos the Jackal.
I was typing a Day of the Jackal guy to see what came up because I was
No,
just...
that's a different thing. I remembered Jackal.
Edward
and that was
Fox. The actor from Day of the Jackal. Don't think that's who you meant.
No, it was it was Carlos the Jackal, who again is like a Al Maghrabi, yeah. That
So
was
apparently
like
it was the guy's name Dykestra, Dykstra, or whatever. Was a baseball player. Yeah, right. He was accused of cursing at people, shouting racist slurs, bullying people, bank fraud, being apparently just bad at the game. All that
I was
kind of
about to
stuff.
say,
And-
considering how badly he's behaved there, he's probably in the Hall of Fame. But you said he was not good at baseball, so yeah.
Well, to be fair, that team did win the 1986 World Series.
So he's got a ring then.
Yeah, he's got a ring.
Yeah.
And basically he said that, all the accusations of him being a racist bully, soured him. And so he sued for emotional distress and mental anguish and all that kind of stuff. And it got dismissed because the judge said he's the classic libel-proof plaintiff whose reputation is so bad you simply cannot be defamed.
Wow.
Wow.
That's like Sargon.
That is bad, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we done with our talk on Trump?
Yeah, I think we're done.
Yeah.
I mean, if Christy, if you and I want to stick on, we could watch
The
Ben
UN vote?
Shapiro's very fun take.
Honestly, maybe, Marcus, if you want to stay on. Sorry, I walked 10 kilometers today on my day off. On my
It's not a day off then, is it, Christy? What you've
Yeah,
done
and
there
it's
is made a
quarter
day
after
off into
10
not
now.
a day off.
Yeah, but I mean, Marcus could hang about.
No, we'll leave it. I wanted to get your take on it. No offense, Marcus.
Yeah,
I'm sure
fair
your
enough.
take would
Okay.
be fine as well, but
Sorry, I've used up all my mental energy and smarts for this, so I'm kind of fading now. But you could save it till Wednesday, yeah?
yeah.
Is
Okay.
is the Shapiro thing the UN? Were you going to watch the UN vote or commentary on it?
No, he's got a video called Joe Biden Sides with Satan.
Oh God.
Of course.
About his threat to maybe withhold some weapons from Israel for a bit or something.
Oh fuck yeah! He's not gonna let
Yeah.
innocent people be slaughtered for he's gonna delay it for a couple days, and so I don't understand. There was tragically around 1,000 people lost their lives when Hamas attacked, and several hundred were taken hostage, and we are currently up to 30,000 Palestinians dead, including women and children.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
so
proportional.
Biden can't be like, yeah, you can't use 2,000 pound ton whatever bombs on civilians. And Ben Shapiro is like, excuse me, what do you mean we can't engage in mindless genocide? Is that kind of the take here?
Basically, that seems to have been the reaction of most of the Israeli Knesset members
No
and
fucking
ministers
shit,
I've
right?
seen. Yeah.
Uh-huh. If we can't do a genocide, are we really free?
Well, I
Exactly.
saw, I think it was the culture minister referred to Biden as Hamas now.
Oh, Biden is Hamas?
Biden's
Oh,
Hamas.
wow, yeah, Israel, you're really doing a good job of
Well,
the
to be
one
fair,
people
there are
in the world
tunnels
who
under
put
the
up
White
with this shit.
House, so
That's true.
you know.
There are tunnels in Joe Biden's head. Hamas could be in there.
There's definitely one worm-shaped tunnel in RFK's head.
Yeah.
We know that.
Died of starvation. Yeah, unbelievable. Joe Biden is Hamas now. What do they want to be on their own in the sea of Arab people who hate them? Is that what Israel really wants?
If Joe Biden is Hamas, does that mean Christy? Do you
Yeah.
condemn Joe Biden?
Well, you have to condemn. You always have to condemn Hamas because
And Biden is Hamas, so you condemn Joe Biden by the transitive
Yeah.
property. Yes.
Yeah, I condemn the whole world as Hamas. So
Exactly.
unless you're a part of the Knesset or Ben Shapiro, you're Hamas. So
Literally true. Literally true.
Yep.
Well, what was it? Alan Dershowitz was calling for a boycott of everyone who was protesting Israel or complaining about anything really involving Israel. Which,
Well, I would say, do explain why you were good friends with Jeffrey Epstein, you fucking creepy old cunt.
Mm-hmm.
Would be my
the
answer.
underage prostitutes would be the answer.
Yes, no, he was very much into
How
that.
else would he get them then?
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is funny because apparently, interpersonally, he's just a dick too.
He's an awful person, yeah.
Yeah. Well, every once in a while you hear the opposite, right? Like a friend of mine met Clarence Thomas because he went to law school where he taught, and he said everyone loves Clarence Thomas. He's he's the life of the party. He's very personable, very sociable, very warm in real life. Like people genuinely love him. But like
Okay, so now I know it's not true.
Dershowitz, they're like, oh yeah, they're absolute assholes.
No,
What was that?
I know this story can't be true about Thomas because as a lizard, he's actually cold-blooded. So
Well, he suns himself before he goes to parties.
Exactly. He has to before a sitting of the court. He has to just lie on a wall for a couple of hours and just soak in the sun.
Just flick his tongue out as his alien body warms.
Exactly.
Alien
That's,
body
you know
warms.
what, and it works for him. God bless him. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Are we done? Are we done here?
I think we're done.
Marcus, you were always worth the wait.
Well, thank you. It's always a pleasure. And
still need
yeah,
to see
unless
that
there's anything
diploma.
else, I'm down to fuck off.
Still, look, that diploma, it's not going to show itself, is it?
See, this is how you get pictures of my penis, because sooner or later, I will take it as an insult if I don't send it.
Well, maybe someone else might take it as an insult if you don't send it as well. Just, you know. Kind of it begins to feel personal when the fucking...
Well, you know,
when the
Discord
Frenchman
does have that...
gets it, but, you know, the actual Angloid, you know, us white people, because, of course, the only white people that exist are the British and the people from Saxony.
Yep.
Yeah.
Benjamin Franklin said it, so it must be true.
Discord does have that spoiler blocker, so you know you could always send it and go, "Hey Kevin, here's that picture you wanted." If you don't want to look, don't hit spoiler, which of course is like raving a red flag.
No, don't send it to everyone else. Where's the
just
fun in
you.
that? How will I feel special if he sends it to everyone else?
I didn't say he would send it to everyone else. I said
You said
he'd
put
send
it in the
with a
Discord.
Spoiler. Yeah, in your Discord DMs.
Oh well, well, you didn't say DMs.
Yeah, because I definitely would have just put it in general if you didn't say.
Exactly, yeah. Have we not got a special dick pic section? I'm surprised if you haven't.
I would be shocked if you hadn't, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, I guess mods. There you go.
No, don't do that, for fuck's sake. Anyway.
Why not?
Because...
You're anti-dick?
Yeah, this is anti-dick action.
There's a Kevin out of context section, so...
There is that, which, to be fair, I am very quotable.
You are. You're very spicy.
Who am I going to send? I'm going to send everyone over to James from the internet. Go and check out James, Good Egg, etc., etc.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'll be back possibly tomorrow. I don't know. Christy might be back with me on Wednesday, hopefully.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
And,
unless
Marcus
something weird happens.
Might well be in chat at some point in the near future.
Yeah, and of course, as soon as the Supreme Court decision comes down, we're going to be working for another 4 weeks to bring you on at a time.
Yes.
But we just aim for Friday nights, I think.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to work on Saturdays and Kevin doesn't have a
Well, don't go for long fucking walks on a Friday.
I went to the spa for 4 hours and I sweated, and then I did the whole. I'm getting really brave at going into cold water and then going back in the sauna and then going into the cold water, and I got to do naked swimming.
Christy, if you're going to carry on talking, I am just going to raid out and people will not hear what you're saying.
I assumed you were already trying to raid out. Yeah.
It's goodbye from me and goodbye from Marcus. Say goodbye, Marcus.
Goodbye, everyone.
No, I said.
No,
say
I'm not
goodbye,
doing
Marcus.
it again. I did it once. You know, you can't repeat the joke.
I said, say goodbye, Marcus.
Goodbye, Marcus.
He did the bit. Say goodbye, Christy.
Goodbye, Christy.
She did the bit. Now fuck off, all of you.
All right.